Chapter 1588 Chapter 1588 Entering the 100-clan battlefield. Why not? That's just what I want. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation and a strong desire to fight. The battlefield of the 100 races was actually a training ground for the geniuses of the various emperor-ranked powers. How many geniuses would be gathered there? Lu Ming could feel the blood in his body starting to boil. It was only interesting this way. He could only force Lu Ming to advance quickly by clashing with the other prodigies. I didn't misjudge you. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master smiled, but in the next moment, his smile disappeared. His face turned serious as he said, "Cultivators, especially geniuses, can often develop their potential and break through the shackles to surpass themselves when faced with a life-and-death crisis. Therefore, anyone who dares to enter the 100-clan battlefield is a genius among geniuses. They are also mentally tough and have terrifying combat abilities. This is because ordinary people don't dare to enter. Life-and-death battles are too common in the 100-clan battlefield. So, Ming, you must be careful. You can't let your guard down. Your disciple understands." Lu Ming nodded. "Yes, I have an introduction to the 100-clan battlefield here. Take a look. I'll be of some help to you." The Cloud Dragon Valley Master took out another jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. Then, the two of them returned to their respective rooms. Lu Ming took out the jade talisman and started to read it. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. 2 days later, the white-robed old man came to the courtyard. "Little guy, come with me." The white-robed old man smiled. "Master, disciple will take his leave." Lu Ming cupped his fists at the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. "Go, Master believes in you. In the next treasure auction, you will definitely be able to defeat a strong enemy. At that time, you will be able to look down on the Azure region's younger generation." The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said, You Brother Yun, you're quite confident in your disciple." The white-robed elder smiled and waved his hand. A wave of energy enveloped Lu Ming and took him into the sky. After a while, the white-robed elder brought Lu Ming to a canyon. In the canyon, there was a huge altar that was engraved with inscriptions. Teleportation altar. Lu Ming could tell that it was a teleportation altar. This was the first time he had seen a teleportation altar in the Yuan continent. The space of the Yuan continent was too stable. If one wanted to set up a teleportation altar and teleport across regions, the price would be extremely high and the amount of resources needed would also be shocking. In the Dragon God Valley, there were only teleportation altars to the ocean. There were no other teleportation altars to the other parts of the Yuan continent. Perhaps only Emperor-level forces had them. There were 4 young men beside the altar. 1 woman and 3 men. The woman was tall and wore a silver armor, but it still couldn't hide her hot figure. She looked very heroic. The other 3 young men were all wearing white robes with clouds embroidered on them. When the white-robed elder arrived with Lu Ming, the 4 young men looked at Lu Ming curiously. "Let me introduce him to you. His name is Lu Ming, and he will be going to the 100-clan battlefield with you." The white-robed old man gave a simple introduction. "Lu Ming? I've never heard of this name before." One of the young men asked with a puzzled expression. This person had a head full of dark green hair and looked very conspicuous. "He's not from the Cloud Emperor Mountain, he's from the Azure continent." The white-robed old man introduced. "The Azure continent?" Hearing that Lu Ming came from the Azure continent, the green-haired youth's eyes revealed a hint of contempt. He studied Lu Ming for a moment and said, "You're only at the 6th level of the martial royal realm, yet you want to enter the 100-clan battlefield. You're simply courting death. I'll be careful when we enter the 100-clan battlefield." Lu Ming furrowed his brows. "Be careful? Don't tell me you're thinking of relying on us. I'm telling you, we won't save you if you run into danger in the 100-clan battlefield." The green-haired youth sneered, and his contempt grew. "I will be responsible for my own life. If I am killed in any danger, it can only be considered that I am not skilled enough." Lu Ming's voice turned cold. The green-haired youth's tone made him very unhappy. Seeing that Lu Ming actually dared to talk to him with a cold face, the green-haired young man snorted coldly. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes as he said, "Trash from the Azure continent, let's see how you die." Yun Kai, enough. At this time, the silver-armored woman berated. The green-haired young man seemed to be very afraid of the silver-armored woman. He sneered and didn't say anything more. "Lu Ming, my name is Yun Shi." The silver-armored woman introduced herself. "Hello." Lu Ming nodded. "Lu Ming, you don't have to take Yun Kai's words to heart. Since you're entering the 100-clan battlefield with us, well, naturally take care of each other when the time comes." Yun Shi said. In other words, if they were to encounter any danger, they would take care of Lu Ming to the best of their abilities. These geniuses of emperor-ranked powers had a sense of superiority that came from their bones when they faced people who weren't from emperor-ranked powers. Although Yun Shi was friendly, she still had a faint sense of superiority. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He did not comment nor explain. "Lu Ming, the two of them are called Yun Feng and Yun Ke." Then, Yun Shi introduced the other two young men to Lu Ming. The other two young men nodded at Lu Ming indifferently. "All right, now that you know each other, let's go," the white-robed old man said. Everyone nodded and stepped onto the teleportation altar. The white-robed elder waved his hand and the altar began to glow. A space door was formed and Lu Ming and the five of them stepped into it. The world spun and Lu Ming felt his vision go dark. What a powerful spatial rotation! Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. The more stable the space was, the stronger the spinning force would be during the teleportation. The next moment, the spinning force disappeared and Lu Ming found himself on a huge platform. The platform should be located on the peak of a mountain. Looking into the distance, what came into view was a hilly area with no end in sight. The 100-clan battlefield is up ahead. We're outside the 100-clan battlefield right now. Yun Shi said. Lu Ming nodded. He had read the introduction of the 100-clan battlefield given to him by the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Any Emperor-level forces who wanted to enter the 100-clan battlefield could only be teleported outside. Teleportation formations could not be built in the 100-clan battlefield as the laws were too chaotic. "Let's go," Yun Shi said and flew forward first. This team was led by Yun Shi. Her cultivation was the highest, reaching the LV9 Martial Royal Realm. The other three were all at the LV8 Martial Royal Realm. Moreover, those who dared to enter the 100-clan battlefield to train were all very powerful. Lu Ming estimated that Yun Shi and the other three had superior-grade Earth spiritual bodies. The five of them flew forward, and not long after, a deep ditch appeared in front of them. This ravine was created by later generations. It's a sign that the area in front of the ravine is the official entrance to the 100-clan battlefield. Yun Shi said. The five of them flew over the deep trench. As soon as they flew past the deep trench, Lu Ming felt that something was not right. He extended his spiritual senses and discovered that the laws of heaven and earth were indeed in a mess. Chapter 1589. 1589 The killer of Thousand Kill Manor. This kind of chaos could not be seen with the naked eye. In fact, if one's cultivation was too low, one would not even be able to sense it. Only when one reached a certain realm would one be able to sense it. However, they were not saints, so the chaotic laws did not affect them much. The 100-tribe battlefield had taken place in ancient times, and it had happened a long time ago. The earth was reinvigorated, just like the outside world, except for the chaotic laws of the world. At this point, the five of them concealed their auras and became more careful. The closer we get to the center of the 100-clan battlefield, the more experts there will be. We should be fine if we're careful on the periphery. Yun Shi said in a low voice. The few of them nodded. In the 100-tribe battlefield, the closer to the center of the 100-tribe war, the more powerful the participants were. Naturally, many treasures were left behind. Therefore, the more powerful the heavens' favorites are, the more they would gather in the center to search for opportunities. At the same time, they would find opponents to train themselves. On the outside, some of the weaker heavens' favorites were active. The five of them ran forward and did not encounter any danger. Occasionally, they would encounter some demonic beasts, but most of them were not of a high level. The 100-clan battlefield was extremely huge. They soon covered tens of thousands of miles. Right at this moment, an extremely soft sound was heard. Yun Feng let out a blood-curdling screech as one of his arms flew off, blood splattering everywhere. Not good, someone's ambushing us. The expressions of Yun Shi and the others changed drastically. The faint sound of something breaking through the air rang out again. Retreat! Yun Shi shouted and quickly retreated. The others followed suit. They had retreated fast enough, but Yun Kai was still hit. A deep sword wound appeared on his chest and blood flowed out. His spiritual body squirmed wildly, wanting to recover, but it seemed to be blocked by a terrifying killing intent that was constantly destroying his spiritual body, making his wound difficult to recover in a short time. It was the same for Yun Feng. One of his arms had been cut off. He wanted to regrow it, but a terrifying killing intent prevented his spirit body from regrowing. 1,000-kill swordsmanship. There from 1,000-kill mansion. Yun Kai roared, his face filled with fear. At this moment, another faint sound rang out. It was as if a sword light was heading towards Yun Kai. He could only feel a faint fluctuation, but he couldn't see the attacker. He couldn't even see the sword light. It was extremely terrifying. A silver spear appeared in Yun Zai's hand, and she swept it out. Clang. Yun Zai's long spear seemed to have collided with a combat sword. With a loud boom, she blocked the sword. Yun Kai was so frightened that his cold body began to flow. A battle sword appeared in his hand, exuding a terrifying aura. It was obviously a holy weapon. At the same time, Yun Kai and Yun Feng both took out their saint weapons. The geniuses of emperor-ranked forces naturally didn't lack saint weapons. It's the hiding technique and shadowless sword of 1,000 kills mansion. Let's surround him and prevent him from launching a sneak attack. Yun Shi shouted. The 5 of them immediately formed a circle and looked around nervously. How unlucky! We've just entered the 100-clan battlefield, and we've already encountered assassins from the 1,000-kill mansion. Yun Kai angrily shouted. Now, he had finally obliterated that terrifying killing intent and the wound on his chest began to recover. As for Yun Feng, his arm started to regrow. Lu Ming, guard your direction well. If you can't, get lost quickly so you don't get us involved. Yun Kai coldly said. At this moment, a soft sound was heard again. This time, it was aimed at Yun Shi. Yun Xiao's pupils rapidly contracted, and he swept his long spear horizontally. However, when he swept it out, he realized that he had missed. The spear swept through the air, and with a swish, the sword light pierced toward Yun Kai. Get lost, die! Yun Kai roared as he slashed out with his sword. The power was terrifying. Yun Kai's cultivation was at the peak of the LV8 martial royal realm. It was obvious that he had an upper-class earth spiritual body. He could easily kill a peak LV9 martial royal realm expert with a full-force slash by controlling his holy weapon. However, the sword still missed. The sword chi landed on the ground and left a sword mark that was several miles long and dozens of meters deep. It split a hill in half. Bush, bush, bush. The sound of the sword breaking through the air rang out continuously. The terrifying sword light was constantly thrust out. It would not stab toward Yun Shi, but at Yun Kai and Lu Ming. Only the sound of the sword could be heard, but no one could see the person who attacked or the sword that was used to assassinate. Moreover, the sword light was extremely fast, powerful, and accurate. They were completely passive. After a while, another sword wound appeared on Yun Feng's body. What a terrifying assassination technique! Lu Ming's eyebrows furrowed slightly. The other party's concealment technique was too powerful. He had completely concealed his body, and not even a trace of his aura could be sensed. They were completely passive and could only be continuously assassinated without being able to counterattack. The opponent's cultivation should be at LV8 martial royal realm. Yun Shi said. What should we do? We can't go on like this. We're too passive. Yun Kai said. Let's go there. There's a canyon there. As long as we enter the canyon, it'll be advantageous to us. Yun Shi called out. The other party's movement technique was too fast. The terrain was open and the other party could move freely. Their counterattacks couldn't hit the other party. If they entered the canyon, they would greatly limit the other party's movements. Boom. The long spear in Yun Zai's hand expanded and turned into a 1,000-meter-long spear radiance. It swept in all directions with the power to sweep away thousands of troops. But unfortunately, he still didn't hit the other party. "Let's go!" At this time, Yun Yen shouted and flew toward the canyon in front of her. Lu Ming and the other three followed Yun Shi and ran in that direction. However, before she could run halfway, a terrifying sword light stabbed toward Yun Zai's head. Yun Zai's pupils shrank, and she suddenly stopped. She swept her long spear up and blocked the sword with a clang. But at the same time, there was a sword radiance that was aimed at Yun Feng from behind. Yun Feng roared and slashed his sword backward. With a clang, he blocked the attack. However, their expressions became even uglier. There are two assassins from the 1,000-kill mansion. Yun Kai shouted, his face pale. One assassin was already very difficult to deal with, but now, there were two of them. At this moment, black wings spread open on Lu Ming's back. With a flap, Lu Ming soared into the sky and left Yun Shi and the others, flying into the distance. Damn it, this bastard is so afraid of death that he wants to escape alone. Yun Kai roared. Lu Ming's face was cold. Without saying a word, he flapped his black wings rapidly and flew forward at top speed. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the sight of Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others. He's a coward. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have brought him along. Yun Kai said. Yun Feng's and Yun Kai's expressions were also rather unsightly. There's one less assassin. One of them has been lured away by Lu Ming. At this moment, Yun Shi spoke. Indeed, the assassin at the back seemed to have disappeared. Only the assassin in front was still trying to kill them. Chapter 1590 Chapter 1591 Shot Ha. That guy was too smart for his own good. He's really seeking his own death. Yun Kai laughed sarcastically. On the other side, Lu Ming suddenly stopped after flying for a distance. He turned around and looked behind him with a cold gaze. Buzz. Behind him, there was a slight fluctuation. A figure wrapped in a black robe appeared, holding a sword in his hand. It was a transparent sword as thin as a cicada's wing. As an assassin, you dare to show yourself? Lu Ming said in a calm voice. There's no need to hide when dealing with a mere 6th-level martial royal realm expert like you. The black-robed assassin said in a cold voice. Oh really? Don't you regret this? The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. I'll kill you with one sword strike. A cold voice rang out. Then, the other party moved. In a flash, he crossed hundreds of meters in the air and appeared in front of Lu Ming in an instant. The long sword as thin as a cicada's wing was aimed at Lu Ming. A holy weapon. The sword that was as thin as a cicada's wing was actually a holy weapon. The terrifying sword gleam was unbelievably fast as it pierced towards Lu Ming's throat. Boom. A dragon's roar was heard from within Lu Ming's body. Unknowingly, he had already put on the Luyuan gloves. His essential core surged into the Luyuan gloves madly, making them as heavy as a mountain. Lu Ming threw a punch and the air was completely compressed together. It carried a terrifying force and blasted towards the other party. Buzz. The opponent's long sword trembled non-stop. It actually broke through Lu Ming's fist force and stabbed his fist. With a clang, a terrifying force burst out from Lu Ming's fist and gushed towards the other party with an earth-shattering force. The other party's expression changed drastically. The long sword that was as thin as a cicada's wing trembled non-stop, and the other party's figure was also sent flying by the terrifying power of this punch. Blood spurted out of the other party's mouth, wetting the black cloth around his mouth. The only eye that was exposed revealed was a look of shock. How can he be so powerful? The other party said in disbelief. His cultivation was at the middle LV8 martial royal realm, which was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's. He also had a superior earth spiritual body, but he was injured by Lu Ming's punch in a head-on fight. You want to kill me with this little bit of power? Lu Ming said indifferently. So what if you're strong? I'm not good at strength, but assassination. Today you're still going to die. The black-robed assassin's voice was cold. Then he moved and disappeared. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and scanned his surroundings. All of a sudden, a ray of sword light shot toward Lu Ming from behind. Boom! Lu Ming twisted his body and threw a punch backward. However, this punch hit nothing but air. A fist force flew out and created a huge pit on a mountain peak in the distance. Immediately, a sword light appeared on Lu Ming's left side and charged toward him. It was extremely fast and impossible to defend against. Lu Ming threw another punch. Unfortunately, when he did so, the sword light disappeared again and Lu Ming landed in the air. Then, terrifying sword gleams rang out continuously. At the same time, 7 to 8 sword gleams shot toward Lu Ming from all directions. Get lost! The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands and he swept it across. The long spear swept in all directions and all the sword hums disappeared. However, it still did not hit the other party. At the critical moment, the other party dodged Lu Ming's attack with a terrifying movement technique. Let's see how many of my moves you can dodge. When you lose your mind, you will die. A cold voice rang in the air. However, it did not come from a single direction. Instead, it kept changing. It was as if the direction would change with every word that was spoken. Lu Ming could not tell where the other party was. The other party's assassination technique was indeed very terrifying. Those who were targeted by him had to maintain a high level of concentration at all times, because if they were not careful, the other party would seize the opportunity and kill them in one blow. To maintain such a high level of concentration for a long time, one's mind would be exhausted, and in that case, it would be a dead end. Therefore, when Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others found out that they were assassins from the Thousand Kill Mansion, their faces turned ugly. The assassins of the Thousand Kill Mansion were synonymous with nightmares. Once they were targeted, they would have a slim chance of survival. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and stood still in the void. He spread out his spiritual sense and an inexplicable smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Suddenly, Lu Ming moved. The black dragon spear suddenly stabbed backward. He became one with the spear like a black lightning. This spear seemed to be piercing through the air. However, in the next moment, a scream was heard. The black-robed assassin's figure was revealed, and Lu Ming's long spear had pierced through his dantian. The black-robed assassin's eyes widened in disbelief. He roared, "How is that possible? How did you discover me?" "I'm sorry, but my soul force is many times stronger than other warriors of the same level. You can hide your body and your aura, but it's hard to hide your soul fluctuations." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "So that's how it is. Haha, but if you kill me, you'll also die." The black-robed assassin suddenly laughed crazily. As he laughed, he stopped breathing. The spear attack just now had already shattered the opponent's spiritual god. Lu Ming pulled out his long spear and reached out to grab the other party's storage ring. The black-robed assassin was too confident in his concealment technique. Therefore, when Lu Ming made his move, he was completely defenseless and was easily killed by Lu Ming with one shot. If the other party was on guard, it would not be easy for Lu Ming to kill him. The other party was also a top-notch heaven's favorite and his movement technique was extremely strange. With a flap of his black wings, Lu Ming flew in the direction of Yun Shi and the others. At this moment, Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the other two were hiding in a canyon, carefully defending themselves. We must find an opportunity to severely injure this assassin. Otherwise, when the other assassin kills Lu Ming and returns, we'll be facing two assassins. Even if we're in this canyon, we'll be in danger. Yun Kai said. He felt that Lu Ming was dead for sure. Buzz. At this moment, the sound of something flying through the air could be heard from afar. Lu Ming was flying over. Yun Kai's eyes suddenly widened as he revealed a look of disbelief. It's Lu Ming. He's not dead. He's being hunted down by an assassin from the House of 1,000 Kills. He's not dead? Given Lu Ming's cultivation base, he should be dead for sure if he were to face a terrifying killer from the 1,000 Kills mansion. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Lu Ming stood high in the sky and looked down at the clouds. I was just lucky. Yun Kai coldly snorted. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly swooped down and rushed into the canyon. However, just as they were about to reach the canyon, Lu Ming suddenly turned around and thrust his spear at a void. Wherever the long spear passed, the air would let out a terrifying whistling sound and the space would ripple. In front of the long spear, the figure of a man in black was revealed. Chapter 1591. 1591 Chapter 1591 Slaughter. Mark. The man in black's eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not expect that Lu Ming would be able to discover him. At the crucial moment, he used the long sword in his hand to block in front of him. Clang! The long spear stabbed into the opponent's long sword. The long sword bent into an arc and hit the black-clothed man's body. The black-clothed man's body trembled and was directly sent flying, creating a ravine that was a few hundred meters long on the ground. Buzz! Lu Ming's figure did not stop as he charged toward the man in black. Lu Ming, wait a moment. At this moment, Yun Shi exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he landed beside the man in black. He pointed his long spear and sealed the man's vital essence. Why did you stop me? Lu Ming's gaze turned to Yun Shi. At this moment, Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the other two were all dumbfounded. To them, the assassins from the residence of 1,000 kills were extremely difficult to deal with. However, Lu Ming had dealt with them easily. Lu Ming, once an assassin from the 1,000 kills mansion is killed, a killing mark will be left on the person who killed them. It's almost impossible to erase it. Other assassins from the 1,000 kills mansion will find the murderer based on this killing mark and will fight until the other party is killed. So, you can't kill this assassin from the 1,000 kills mansion. Yun Shi took a deep breath to calm herself down and explained. I see. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he said helplessly, it's a pity it's too late. Too late? Yun Shi was stunned, and then her beautiful eyes widened. Could it be that you've already killed someone? That's right. I've already killed the assassin from the mansion of 1,000 kills who was chasing me just now. So, I don't mind killing one more person. With that, Lu Ming thrust his long spear forward and killed the assassin in black. With a wave of his hand, he took the other party's storage ring and sword. Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others walked out of the canyon, their faces pale. Lu Ming, how did you discover the other party's hiding place? Yun Shi asked. My soul force is relatively strong, so I can sense the other party's soul fluctuations. Lu Ming explained. He had nothing to hide. It was normal for some people to be gifted and have powerful souls. Lu Ming, you've killed 2 assassins from the House of 1,000 Kills. Please leave now. Yun Kai said coldly. Oh. Lu Ming looked at Yun Kai. You don't have to be so reluctant. You already have the killing mark of the 1,000 kill mansion on you. The assassins of the 1,000 kill mansion in the 100 clan battlefield will keep looking for you. I don't want to be implicated by you. Yun Kai said coldly. Hee hee. Lu Ming chuckled, his laughter filled with contempt. If it had not been for Lu Ming's help, Yun Kai and the others would most likely have been killed by the 2 assassins from the House of 1,000 Kills. Now that the assassins from the House of 1,000 Kills had been killed by Lu Ming, Yun Kai wanted to ask Lu Ming to leave immediately so that he would not be implicated. What a joke. What are you laughing at? You must leave today. Yun Kai said coldly. I will leave without you telling me. It's even more dangerous for me to stay with trash like you. Lu Ming said indifferently. What did you just say? You dare to call me a trash, a mere 6th-level martial emperor? Yun Kai was furious, pointing at Lu Ming and berating him loudly. You're only at the 6th level of the martial emperor realm, but you killed 2 assassins from the mansion of 1,000 kills. What were you doing just now? Lu Ming said disdainfully, causing Yun Kai's face to turn red. It's just that my soul force is a bit stronger. Yun Kai was stubborn. Lu Ming could not be bothered with Yun Kai. He looked at Yun Feng, Yun Kai, and Yun Shi and said, Is this also what you want? Yun Feng and Yun Kai looked embarrassed. They did not dare to meet Lu Ming's eyes and turned their gazes in other directions. Their intentions were the same as Yun Kai's. If Lu Ming continued to stay with them, they would all die when the experts from the 1,000 Kills mansion arrived. Lu Ming, Yun, she said, but she couldn't continue halfway, and a look of guilt appeared on her face. Logically, she wanted to keep Lu Ming. However, her rationality told her that if she kept Lu Ming, they would all die. The assassins of the 1,000-kill mansion were too terrifying. Furthermore, the 100-clan battlefield was simply the holy land of the 1,000-kill mansion. Countless geniuses gathered there. Every year, the 1,000-kill mansion would send a large number of geniuses into the 100-clan battlefield to train their assassination skills. Therefore, many paragons in the 100-clan battlefield were shocked when they heard about the 1,000-kill mansion. Very few people targeted by the 1,000 kills manner could survive. There's no need to say any more. I understand. Lu Ming will take his leave now. Lu Ming said coldly and turned to leave. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he looked in one direction. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. There were 3 figures flying over from that direction. The man in the middle was wearing a purple gold robe. He was tall and handsome, and there was a purple sword-shaped mark between his eyebrows. His entire person was filled with a noble aura. Beside him, there were 2 other young men in purple robes. They also looked extraordinary. The 3 of them stopped above Lu Ming and the rest, looking down at them from above. One of the young men's eyes fell on Yun Shi, and a hint of battle intent appeared in his eyes. LV9 Martial Royal Realm, the same level as me. Young master, how about I go and practice? Sure, go. The noble young man in the middle nodded. Buzz. The young man stepped forward, and the aura of a LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert emanated from his body. He pressed down on Yun Shi and said, "Fight me." This was the 100-clan battlefield. There was no reason to attack. There were no rules here. All of the young heaven's favorites came here for 2 reasons. First, to train themselves. Second, to find opportunities. Only through great battles and killing could one temper themselves. In this place, it was very normal for people to attack without any reason when they encountered people of similar cultivation. On the other hand, those with high cultivation would usually not attack those with low cultivation, because there was no value in tempering them unless the other party had a treasure on him. He could either challenge someone stronger, or someone at the same level as him, and break through in a life-or-death situation. A battle it shall be. Yun Shi held the long spear in her hand and stepped into the air, standing opposite the purple-robed youth. Kill! Without saying anything else, the young man in purple attacked. A light spot lit up between his eyebrows, and then a combat sword flew out. He held it in his hand and slashed it at Yun Xiao. Yun Shi thrust her spear forward like a silver bolt of lightning. Clang! The long spear and the combat sword collided, and the sword chi and spear light scattered in all directions. The 2 of them trembled slightly and took a few steps back at the same time. Without a doubt, the other party was also a heaven's favorite with a superior earth spiritual body, and his combat strength was amazing. You have some strength, but this is far from enough. The young man in purple shouted. A light spot also lit up on his arm. From the light spot, a battle axe flew out and floated above his head. The battle axe seemed to be connected to the battle sword in his hand, making the power of the battle sword in his hand stronger. 10,000 soldiers scroll, you're from the Wan family. Yun Zai's expression changed drastically, and she cried out in alarm. Chapter 1592. 1592 Chapter 1592, 10,000 Soldier Domain, you have good eyes. Let's see how many of my weapons you can take. The young man in purple stepped forward and slashed out with his sword. The sword light cut through the void, and its power was much stronger than the previous one. Flying Cloud Spear Art, die. Yun Yen shouted. Her long spear was like a dragon as it shot out beams of dazzling spear light toward the young man in purple. Clang, clang, clang. The 2 of them collided continuously, but they were still evenly matched. However, what was shocking was that there were bright spots shining on the young man's body. From each bright spot, a weapon flew out. These weapons floated around the young man's body. These weapons seemed to be connected with each other. All the chi of combat weapons gathered on the combat sword in the young man's hand, making the power of his combat sword more and more terrifying. The weapon in the purple shirt young man's hand was only an emperor's spiritual weapon, but it could borrow the chi of other spiritual weapons and merge them together. Its power was even stronger than Yun Zai's saint weapon. Kill! The more the young man fought, the more courageous he became. He held a sword in his right hand and grabbed a battle axe with his left hand. He attacked Yun Xiao from both sides. Yun Shi was slowly being suppressed. What a marvelous domain, what a marvelous combat technique. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with amazement. His opponent's domain allowed him to use different weapons at the same time. When he used a sword, it could transform into a sword domain. When he used an axe, it could transform into an axe domain. It seemed to be the same as his chaos domain. However, it was impossible for the other party to cultivate the chaos domain. 10,000 soldier domain. An extremely rare domain appeared in Lu Ming's mind. It was the 10,000 soldier domain. It was said that one could control all the weapons in the world by cultivating the 10,000 soldier realm. No matter what weapon one used, it would be transformed into a corresponding weapon realm. Of course, it was only limited to weapons. It could not be transformed into a domain of fire, a domain of water, and the like. Those were the specialties of the chaos domain. But it was still very shocking. Out! In the end, the young man in purple shouted. Bright spots lit up on his body again, and weapons flew out. There were 18 different weapons floating around the young man in purple. All of them were king's spiritual weapons. The combat weapon chi of the 18 king's spiritual weapons was extremely powerful. Clang! Yun Shi was sent flying by the sword. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and her face turned pale. Yun Xiao had lost. He was no match for her in a battle of the same level. Looking at your cultivation technique, you must be from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Hee, the Cloud Emperor Mountain is nothing more than this. The young man in purple sneered and didn't continue to attack. He returned to the noble young man's side, and the 18 different emperor's spiritual weapons flew into his body and disappeared. Yun Zai's expression was a little ugly, but the 10,000 soldiers scroll cultivated by the Wan family was really powerful. There are so many geniuses here. Are these all geniuses from emperor-ranked powers? Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. He had only been in the 100-clan battlefield for a short time. Before, he had met the geniuses of the 1,000 Kills Prefecture, and now he had met the people of the Wan family. They were all geniuses with superior earth spiritual bodies, and their cultivation methods and combat skills were all stronger than the last. If these geniuses were placed in Songzhou, they would all have the chance to compete for the top 10 geniuses. This made his blood boil. Only in such an environment would he be able to improve faster. At this time, the noble young man in the middle looked at the body of the assassin from the 1,000-kill mansion. His eyes flickered and he said in surprise, "Were you the ones who killed the assassins of the 1,000-kill mansion?" Although he used the word you, his eyes were on Yun Shi. In his opinion, only Yun Zai's strength was worth mentioning. The others were not worth mentioning. Among them, there was actually a 6th-level martial emperor. He really didn't know what was good for him. "I didn't kill him." Yun Shi shook her head. "Not you." The honorable young man was slightly stunned. "It's him, he killed her." At this moment, Yun Kai pointed at Lu Ming and shouted. The distinguished young man was stunned. He turned to look at Lu Ming and asked in surprise, "It's you? How could a mere LV6 martial emperor kill an assassin of the 1,000-kill mansion?" Interesting. It's indeed interesting that a LV6 martial royal realm expert can kill an assassin of the 1,000-kills mansion. Young master, let me test him and see what he's capable of. Another young man in purple said. The young man nodded. The young man in purple stepped forward, and a powerful aura burst out. Peak LV8 Martial Royal Realm. This young man in purple was slightly weaker than the one who had fought with Yun Shi. "Kid, come up and fight me. I want to see what kind of special ability you have." The young man in purple looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped into the air, his body exuding a powerful fighting spirit. He wanted to see how powerful the secret skill of the Wan family was. "Could you go first? Use your full strength at the end. Otherwise, you won't have a chance," the young man in purple said indifferently, revealing a look of contempt. He did not care about a 6th-level martial emperor at all. He was just curious about how Lu Ming could kill the assassins of the Thousand Kills Mansion. Otherwise, with his cultivation, he would not have challenged a 6th-level martial emperor at all, because it would not be effective for him to train. Boom. Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath. Since the other party had asked him to make the first move, he made his move immediately. He used the prison suppressing heaven technique and threw a punch at the youth in purple. The air trembled, and the terrifying fist force pressed down on the air, forming a terrifying air wave that surged toward the other party. The young man in purple's expression changed. The power of Lu Ming's punch had completely exceeded his imagination. A light spot appeared between his eyebrows and a huge axe flew out. He swung the axe at Lu Ming. Clang! The fist and the axe collided. The young man in purple trembled and took a few steps back. "So this is all you've got?" Lu Ming said indifferently. "You're looking for death." The young man in purple roared and 6 spots on his body lit up. 6 spirit weapons of different colors appeared. In addition to the battle axe from before, there were a total of 7 spirit weapons, all of which were Emperor-level spirit weapons. The 7 Emperor spiritual weapons floated around the young man in purple. The chi of the weapons merged with each other and gathered on the battle axe. "Kill!" The young man in purple bellowed and swung his battle axe at Lu Ming. The power of the axe was much stronger than before. The flowing essence gloves covered his palm. Quintessential essence surged into them crazily, making them as heavy as mountains. Boom! Once again, Lu Ming threw a punch. This time, the other party retreated again and was suppressed by Lu Ming. Although the other party's cultivation was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's and the combat techniques that he cultivated were very powerful, his spirit body was still a superior grade spirit body. Back in the treasure auction, Lu Ming could defeat or even kill such a prodigy. Now that Lu Ming had used his saint weapon, he could easily suppress his opponent. "Kill!" The young man in purple roared madly. He couldn't accept the fact that he had been suppressed after 2 moves. Before he made his move, he had been acting all high and mighty as if he could easily crush Lu Ming. However, now that he was being suppressed by Lu Ming, he felt that he had lost all his face. He was filled with a terrifying killing intent towards Lu Ming. Chapter 1593. 1593. Leaving alone, more light spots lit up in his body. This time, there were 10 light spots and 10 king spiritual weapons. The 17 Emperor spiritual weapons floated in the air, and the battle weapon chi was extremely dense. It gathered on the battle axe, making the purple-shirt young man's momentum extremely strong. "Kill, kill, kill." The young man in purple shouted, his eyes filled with cold, killing intent. He wanted to kill Lu Ming to save his face. He took a step forward, and his spirit weapons circled around him. He swung his giant axe as if he could split the sky. "You want to kill me?" A sharp glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. More essential core surged into the flowing essence gloves. The flowing essence gloves glowed like a small sun. Boom! A single punch could crush everything. Thump, thump, thump. Lu Ming and the other party exchanged 3 moves in a row. After each move, the other party had to take 3 steps back. After 3 moves, the other party retreated 9 steps. "Kill!" Then Lu Ming shouted and the power of the divine sword technique exploded. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and 2 black swords shot out of his eyes and into the body of the young man in purple. The other party's body trembled, and his eyes lost focus for a moment. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming threw another punch. This punch was as destructive as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. At the critical moment, although the other party used his battle axe to block, the strength he could muster was limited. Lu Ming's punch sent his battle axe flying. He retreated rapidly and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Buzz! Lu Ming strode forward, wanting to defeat his opponent in one fell swoop. "Enough!" The noble youth frowned and stepped forward with a cold light in his eyes. Boom! This step seemed to shake the earth and the sky. A terrifying force rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed and he threw a punch, but it was useless. It could not break through the force. When the force surged over, Lu Ming's body slid back for thousands of meters. "What's wrong?" A tag team battle? If one doesn't work, then two? Lu Ming sneered. A tag team battle? Hee hee, what a joke. The noble young man stood in the void with his hands behind his back. A terrifying pressure emanated from his body and pressed toward Lu Ming like a divine weapon that was about to break the sky and cut the world. Lu Ming covered his entire body with the chaos domain and resisted the pressure with all his might. Your combat strength is not bad, but you're only at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. You're not worthy to fight me, the distinguished young man said indifferently. His tone was filled with confidence and contempt for Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not worthy to fight with him. The honorable young man then looked at the young man who was injured by Lu Ming and said, "In the future, cultivate well and strive to break through. The next time you see this person, you will kill him with your own hands, understand?" "Understood, young master." The young man in purple bowed in response, his eyes filled with cold, killing intent as he looked at Lu Ming. "Let's go." The noble young man retracted his aura and left. Yes, as he had said, Lu Ming's cultivation level was too low and he was not worthy of fighting with him. He was not even interested in fighting. In the blink of an eye, the noble young man and the two young men in purple disappeared from everyone's sight. At that moment, Yun Kai, Yun Feng, and the others looked at Lu Ming with fear in their eyes. Lu Ming could actually defeat the 8th level martial royal realm genius of the Wan family. His combat strength had exceeded their expectations. For example, Yun Kai, whose cultivation was at the peak of the 8th level martial royal realm, believed that he would not be able to defeat the geniuses of the Wan family who were at the same level as him. However, Lu Ming was able to defeat him, which meant that Lu Ming's combat strength was above his. Yun Shi looked at Lu Ming with a complicated gaze. In a battle of the same level, he was no match for the Wan family's geniuses, but Lu Ming could cross 2 levels and defeat the Wan family's geniuses. His combat strength was truly unbelievable. Farewell. At this moment, Lu Ming looked at Yun Shi and cupped his fists slightly, planning to leave alone. It was more convenient for him to act alone. Lu Ming, the 1,000-kill mansion was created by the 1,000-kill martial emperor. It's extremely powerful and has many experts. There'll definitely be a lot of people from the 1,000-kill mansion in the 100-clan battlefield. You have to be careful. In the end, Yun Shi could not bear it and reminded Lu Ming. "Many thanks, I will be careful." Lu Ming said. "Lu Ming, there are cities built by the locals in the 100-clan battlefield. If you enter the city, the people from the 1,000-kill mansion will be more or less apprehensive and won't dare to go too far." Yun Shi reminded him. Lu Ming nodded. Not all of the 100-clan battlefield was filled with outsiders like them. There were some natives. In reality, the natives weren't pure natives. They were all people who had entered the 100-clan battlefield in the distant past. Some of them had stayed there forever and had never left. They had taken root in the 100-clan battlefield and reproduced. As time passed, more and more people arrived at the 100-clan battlefield. These people were called the natives. Moreover, the natives had grown up in the 100-clan battlefield. They were used to the chaotic laws in the world and could adapt to them. Therefore, some of the talented natives could break through to the Saint Realm in the 100-clan battlefield without dying or going crazy because of the chaotic laws. However, the 100-clan battlefield was very restrictive. That was why the strongest of the natives could only reach the Bright Saint Realm. It was almost impossible for them to reach the Supreme Saint Realm. These native saints would build cities and forces in the 100-clan battlefield. In these cities, it was forbidden to fight and kill. Therefore, if they violated this rule, the saints of the local people might kill them. Therefore, although there were no rules in the 100-clan battlefield, there were still some rules in the cities. Of course, things weren't absolute. If one was strong enough, they could kill someone in the city and then escape quickly. Even the saints couldn't do anything. However, at least it was much safer than outside the city. That was why Yun Shi suggested that Lu Ming go to the city. Lu Ming did not say much. He turned and stepped into the air, disappearing from the place in the blink of an eye. Humph, with the mark of slaughter on his body, he will never be able to get to the nearest city. He will definitely be found and killed by the 1,000 Kills Prefecture. Yun Kai sneered. She glanced at Yun Kai with some disgust, then turned around and left. And NBSP hoo-hoo. Lu Ming controlled the black wings and flew forward at an extremely fast speed. Soon, they had flown tens of thousands of miles. The 100-clan battlefield has gathered many sovereign-level forces prodigies. Almost all of them have superior-grade Earth spiritual bodies. In the depths of the 100-clan battlefield, there are even prodigies who have heaven's spiritual bodies. There are too many prodigies. My cultivation is too weak. I must break through as soon as possible. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Lu Ming's weakness had always been his cultivation level. He came from a remote island and the cultivation environment in the past was not good. Compared to the geniuses of the Yuanlu continent, his cultivation level was much weaker. He had comprehended the primal chaos domain. He was not afraid of anyone at the same level. It's time to find a place to break through. Lu Ming swept his gaze around. After flying for another tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming flew towards a mountain. Then, the chaos domain transformed into the earth domain. Lu Ming rushed into the mountain directly, as if he was using an underground escape technique. However, there was no change on the surface of the mountain. After entering the center of the mountain, Lu Ming opened up a simple cave abode in the middle of the mountain and entered the mountain and river diagram. Chapter 1594, 7th Level Martial Emperor Realm. After entering the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Path Understanding Ancient Tree. Up until now, Lu Ming had watered the Path Understanding Ancient Tree with a large amount of spiritual liquid. The tree was growing very well. It was now 2 meters tall, and the trunk was as thick as an arm. The branches and leaves were luxuriant, and wisps of heavenly aura lingered between the branches and leaves. Cultivators sat cross-legged under the Path Understanding Ancient Tree. Their hearts were calm, their minds were empty, and their thoughts were active. The speed of their comprehension could be increased by many times. Following that, Lu Ming took out a Heavenly Dao stone. The Heavenly Dao aura that the Heavenly Dao stone emitted increased the speed at which Lu Ming comprehended the chaos domain. Lu Ming closed his eyes and started to comprehend quietly. Previously, Lu Ming traveled the world for a whole year and integrated with nature. That year, although Lu Ming's cultivation had progressed very slowly, his chaos domain had already reached the limit of level 6. He could break through at any time. Moreover, Lu Ming was more in tune with nature, so he could comprehend it faster. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. The chaos domain on Lu Ming's body suddenly trembled and became more robust and condensed. His chaos domain had broken through and reached level 7. A 7th level territory was already considered a territory that a high-level martial emperor could master. However, Lu Ming did not stop. His previous accumulation was too strong. It was like a flood that had been released after the floodgates were opened. The chaos realm was improving rapidly. As for the Heavenly Dao stones, Lu Ming took them out one after another. After another 2 days, Lu Ming's chaos domain had reached the peak of level 7. With this breakthrough, the chaos domain had been upgraded by an entire level. The speed was astonishing. Of course, this was due to Lu Ming's accumulation for the past year. Now that he had accumulated for a year, the speed of his progress was shocking. Later on, after the outburst, the cultivation speed would return to normal. After the breakthrough in the chaos domain, it was time to break through in cultivation. Lu Ming took out a large number of medium-grade raw gemstones and burst out with devouring power to devour and refine them. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Lu Ming's cultivation level increased rapidly until it reached the peak of the 7th level Martial Emperor realm, which was the same level as the Chaos domain. At the 7th level of the Martial Emperor realm, Lu Ming had officially stepped into the ranks of the high-level Martial Emperor realm. His combat strength had increased greatly. The improvement in Lu Ming's cultivation level brought about an all-round improvement in his combat strength. His true essence would skyrocket, his spirit body would be condensed and become stronger, and his soul power would also become stronger as his cultivation level increased. Because it was too difficult to level up the chaotic domain, its power would increase with each level up. At the same time, The increase in cultivation would allow the Saint weapon to be more powerful. Therefore, Lu Ming's cultivation level had increased by 1 level and his combat strength had increased by a lot. Now, if Lu Ming were to fight Yun Kai, a genius at the peak of the 8th level martial royal realm, he was confident that he would be able to kill him in seconds. It's time to go out and find experts to fight. Only then can I break through faster. If I keep going into seclusion, I'll lose the point of coming to the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming pondered. Then, he exited the mountain and river diagram and transformed the Chaos realm into the Earth realm. He rushed out of the mountains and flew toward the depths of the 100-clan battlefield. Buzz! 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 Lu Ming had not flown far when he saw a few figures cutting through the void and flying in one direction. Someone cast an indifferent glance at Lu Ming from afar and ignored him. They're all experts. They're all LV9 Martial Royal Realm experts. Lu Ming muttered and then continued to move forward. However, Lu Ming encountered several groups of people in succession and they were all flying in the same direction. Isn't it too much of a coincidence for so many people to go in the same direction? Or is there something in that direction that is attracting these people? Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Buzz! 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 At this moment, Lu Ming saw 3 more figures flying in that direction. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming immediately concealed his aura and landed on the ground below. He used the trees to cover the mountain and followed the group from a distance. An hour later, they arrived at a vast mountain range. The 3 figures suddenly stopped and nodded to each other. They descended and disappeared. Lu Ming's figure soared into the sky and appeared in the sky above where the few people had been standing earlier. He looked down. Below him was a large piece of rock, but there was a crack in the rock. It was very hidden, and if one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to see it clearly. At this moment, those figures had already disappeared. Could it be that those few people had entered this crack? With a single thought, black wings appeared on Lu Ming's back. Then, the chaos domain covered his entire body and he descended toward the crack. The crack kept going down and it was pitch black. However, as Lu Ming continued to descend, the crack grew bigger and wider. There's a world inside this crack? Lu Ming stood high in the sky and looked down. Below him was a boundless land. With the help of the dim light, he could barely see the mountains and rivers. Lu Ming landed on a mountain peak casually and looked around. What came into view were mountains, but there was no vegetation, only black rocks and soil. Could it be that those people he saw before are all here? Lu Ming pondered in his heart. The 100-clan battlefield took place during the ancient times. Countless experts participated in the battle and countless experts died in battle, forming many strange places. Those strange places often contained great opportunities, but they were also accompanied by risks. Kill! All of a sudden, a strong gust of wind came from behind Lu Ming and attacked him. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He dodged the attack and turned around to look. What is this? What a heavy demonic chi! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. The one who attacked him was a tall and burly monster with black bone spikes all over its body. It was in the form of an adult and held a battle axe in its hand. Its body was filled with thick demonic chi. Kill! The monster spoke in the human language. It roared and pounced at Lu Ming again. LV6 Martial Emperor Realm, die. Lu Ming threw a punch and the power of the prison-suppressing heavenly art was unleashed. Bang! This monster, which was equivalent to a 6th-level martial emperor, was directly hit by Lu Ming's punch and its body exploded. However, the monster was not made of flesh and blood. After its body exploded, it turned into a cloud of demonic chi, rolling in the air and then condensing into the monster again. It roared and charged at Lu Ming. If it's completely condensed from demonic chi, then it'll obliterate your demonic chi. Lu Ming immediately activated his chaos domain and blasted it out. The monster's body was once again shattered and turned into billowing demonic chi. However, in the next moment, the demonic chi condensed again and turned into a monster. Its aura was only slightly weakened. What kind of monster is this? Even the chaos realm can only obliterate it a little. It can't be killed. Lu Ming revealed a look of surprise. Following that, Lu Ming attacked a few times in a row. Each time, the monster would explode. However, every time, the monster would turn into demonic qi and then condense again. It seemed to be completely immortal. Chapter 1595. 1595 Chapter 1595 Demonic Evil Crystal. This monster was even more difficult to deal with than those martial artists who cultivated natural spirit bodies. Warriors who cultivated natural-type spirit bodies would turn their bodies into natural elements when they were attacked to reduce the damage. However, as long as they were strong enough, they could still destroy the opponent's spirit body. However, this monster seemed to be impossible to destroy with pure strength. Even the Chaos Realm had little effect on him. No, this monster has a core. It's in between the eyebrows. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he scattered the monster again, he found that there was a black crystal in between the monster's eyebrows. It was surrounded by demonic qi, and he had not noticed it before. Moreover, the scattered demonic qi had gathered there to reform the monster's body. Lu Ming took a step forward and clawed at the monster's glabella like a dragon's claw. He grabbed a piece of crystal. Then, Lu Ming retreated and took out the crystal. Lu Ming took a look and saw a black crystal in his hand. There was a layer of black demonic fire on the crystal. There's a trace of intelligence on the crystal. Interesting. Destroy it, Lu Ming muttered. He poured his essential core into the crystal, and the demonic fire on the crystal was immediately extinguished. Bang! When the demonic fire on the crystal was extinguished, the monster's body exploded and turned into demonic qi, dissipating in the air. It was impossible for it to reform. This crystal was the core. Could it be the legendary demonic fiend crystal? Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he sized up the crystal in his hand. The demonic evil crystal was a very precious treasure. It could only be found in places with extremely rich demonic qi. The greatest function of the demonic fiend crystal was to temper the soul. Through the refinement of the demonic fiend crystals, the soul force of a warrior would continuously increase. This place actually has demonic evil crystals. Lu Ming's eyes were getting brighter and brighter. Lu Ming had cultivated the divine sword technique. The demonic evil crystals were of great use to him. Lu Ming's soul force was dozens of times stronger than other martial artists of the same level due to the world refinement tribulation bell. In addition, cultivating the godly sword technique would also improve his soul force. Lu Ming's current soul force was stronger than a peak 9th level martial royal realm martial artist. It was even close to the soul force of a half-saint. With such powerful soul power, the divine sword technique could directly tear apart the soul of a martial artist of the same level and make the other party's soul dissipate. Even a martial artist at the peak LV9 martial royal realm would be greatly affected, and his combat strength would be greatly reduced. Even half-saints could be affected by Lu Ming's soul attack, and their combat strength would be reduced. If Lu Ming's soul force continued to improve until it reached the level of a half-saint or even stronger, he might be able to tear a half-saint's soul apart when he used the divine sword technique. It would be a great boost to Lu Ming's combat strength. It was said that the more powerful a warrior was, the more emphasis they placed on their soul. It was said that when one's cultivation reached a certain realm, the soul was extremely important to a martial artist. Hence, the value of demonic fiend crystals was shockingly high in the market. Are there still demonic evil crystals in this place? After Lu Ming put away the demonic fiend crystals, he dashed down the mountain peak and landed on a land with strange rocks. Lu Ming had just landed when a loud roar was heard. A huge tiger pounced at Lu Ming. The giant tiger was pitch black and was emitting demonic qi. It was also at the LV6 martial royal realm. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch and the giant tiger exploded. Just like the human-shaped demonic creature, demonic qi rolled and the giant tiger's body reappeared. As expected. With a quick glance just now, Lu Ming had indeed seen a crystal between the giant tiger's eyebrows. Kill! Lu Ming took a step forward and clawed through the space between the tiger's eyebrows. He took out a piece of crystal. Demonic fiend crystal. It really was a demonic fiend crystal. There was also a layer of demonic fire on it, but it was destroyed by Lu Ming. The giant tiger turned into demonic qi and dissipated. This is really a treasure land. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His figure flickered and he began to search for the demonic creature. After traveling for a few miles, another demonic creature appeared. It was a giant wolf, also at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. Lu Ming grabbed the demonic evil crystal between its eyebrows and continued to move forward. Roar! He did not see any demonic creatures for more than 10 miles. However, after that he heard loud roars. A total of 6 demonic creatures pounced at Lu Ming. One of them was at the LV8 martial royal realm, 2 were at the LV7, and the other 3 were at the LV6. The 6 demons attacked at the same time, and their power was astonishing. Lu Ming cast the wind element technique and his body flashed. He killed a 6th level martial royal realm demonic creature in one move and took out the demonic evil crystal. At the same time, he flapped his black wings and scattered the rest of them into demonic qi. However, the next moment, they immediately condensed again. Lu Ming continued to attack. He grabbed the demonic evil crystals of the other 2 LV6 martial royal realm demonic creatures and kept them in the mountain and river diagram. Then, it pounced on a 7th level martial royal realm demonic creature and clawed at it. The demonic creature roared and twisted its head to avoid Lu Ming's attack. Lu Ming's claw landed on its body, causing it to explode. However, it immediately reappeared. "You're quite smart." Lu Ming mumbled and continued to grab the other 2 demons. The 2 demonic creatures were very smart. They protected their heads well and did not let Lu Ming catch them. As for their bodies, they allowed Lu Ming to attack them as he pleased. This kind of demonic creature was even more difficult to deal with than warriors of the same level. They only needed to protect their heads and attack the other parts of their bodies crazily. If not for Lu Ming's powerful combat strength, they would have been in trouble. 9 seals of the divine gate, let's see how you can dodge. Lu Ming formed a seal with both hands and 7 sealing doors appeared in the sky. Now, Lu Ming could already condense 7 sealing gates. The 7 sealing gates emitted a brilliant light and instantly locked the 3 demons in place. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he instantly grabbed the demonic fiend crystals of the 3 demons. Then he used his essential core to erase the spirituality on them. The 6 demons turned into demonic qi and disappeared. The higher the cultivation of the demonic creature, the better the quality of the demonic evil crystal. Lu Ming sized up the demonic evil crystal at the 7th level of the martial emperor realm and the 8th level of the martial emperor realm in his hands. He realized that the quality was indeed better than the demonic evil crystal of the 6th level martial emperor realm demonic creature. After Lu Ming kept it, he continued to move forward. There seemed to be a large number of demonic creatures in this place. As Lu Ming moved forward, he kept running into demonic creatures. He even encountered demonic creatures of the highest level, which were equivalent to the 9th level of the martial royal realm. The higher the level, the more powerful they were, and the harder it was to get demonic evil crystals. However, Lu Ming had the 9 seals of the divine gate, a secret skill that could seal the other party's movements. It was much more convenient. In the end, Lu Ming even called Bubbles out to help. With the space-time domain of the bubbles, it was even easier to seal these demons. Lu Ming was like a harvester, harvesting the demonic evil crystals. Half a day later, Lu Ming had already obtained more than 100 demonic fiend crystals. There were people from the 6th level to the 9th level of the martial royal realm. Chapter 1596. 1596. You believe that? In a cave, a pagoda was suspended above Lu Ming's head. A space-time domain spread out from the pagoda. A transparent bubble suddenly formed and trapped a 9th level martial emperor demonic creature. Lu Ming grabbed the demonic evil crystal from the demonic creature. It's so convenient with Bubbles' help. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. Bubbles was hiding in that pagoda. As Lu Ming's cultivation level grew higher, the people he came into contact with also became more powerful. Many people would be able to recognize Bubbles at a glance. An infant space-time spirit mouse was priceless and its temptation was terrifying. Lu Ming would be in danger if some powerful beings were interested in it. Therefore, when Lu Ming wanted Bubbles to come out and help, he would let Bubbles enter the pagoda. This way, many people would think that this pagoda only had the effects of the time and space domain. The pagoda with a time domain was precious, but it had some functions. Because it couldn't be upgraded, some powerful existences didn't want it. However, if it was a space-time spirit mouse, it would be completely different. If it was raised, it would be able to defy the heavens in the future. This was a true top 10 war beast. Lu Ming naturally had to be more careful. After getting the demonic fiend crystal, Lu Ming left the cave and continued to move forward. This area was very vast. Until now, Lu Ming had not met anyone else. Not long after, Lu Ming obtained dozens of demonic evil crystals. Roar! At this moment, Lu Ming heard a series of roars coming from the front. They were all the roars of demons. Judging from the sounds, there were many of them. Let's go! Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he rushed toward the source of the sound. After bypassing 2 mountains, Lu Ming saw a large group of demons besieging 4 young men. What a coincidence! Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. The 4 young men were actually Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others. They must have seen the others coming over, so they followed them. There were at least 100 demonic creatures besieging Yun Shi and the other 3. With Yun Zai's combat strength, it was easy for her to fight above her level, so she was not afraid of these demonic creatures. However, it was not easy to get the demonic evil crystals with so many demonic creatures. Damn it, these demonic creatures are too cunning. They always avoid the heads, so we can't get the demonic evil crystals at all. Yun Kai cursed. If there were only a few demonic creatures, they could have besieged them to get the demonic evil crystals. However, there were too many demonic creatures on the scene. Moreover, you can't directly break the head of the demonic creature. If you do that, the demonic evil crystals inside will also be broken, which will be a waste. Yun Shi and the other 3 kept attacking, and the demonic creatures' bodies were destroyed one after another. However, as soon as these demonic creatures were destroyed, other demonic creatures rushed over and attacked Yun Shi and the others, making them unable to pursue and seize the demonic evil crystals. After fighting for a while, they didn't even get a single demonic fiend crystal. At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and walked out. "It's you, Lu Ming?" When Lu Ming walked out, Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others were very surprised. "Lu Ming, you're still alive. You're lucky that no one from the 1,000-kill mansion has come to find you." Yun Kai sneered. Lu Ming cast an indifferent glance at Yun Kai. He simply ignored such people. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, the group of demons changed their direction and charged at him. Almost all of them were at the 6th or 7th level of the martial royal realm. The 9 seals of the Gate of God. Lu Ming conjured a series of hand seals and 7 sealing gates appeared, sealing the 7 demonic creatures. Then, in a flash, 7 demonic fiend crystals appeared in Lu Ming's hands. It's that easy? Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others were dumbfounded. Yun Kai, in particular, revealed a look of jealousy. Roar! More demons charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming condensed the sealing door again. This time, Bubbles assisted him. A large number of demons were fixed in place and could not move. Lu Ming looked as if he was taking a stroll in the courtyard, as if he was picking fruits from his backyard. He reached out with his claws and took out demonic evil crystals one after another. The demonic creatures turned into demonic chi and dissipated. Then, Lu Ming rushed to the demons that were besieging Yun Shi and the others. He used the same old plan again. Not long after, more than 100 demons turned into demonic chi and dissipated. The demonic evil crystals all entered Lu Ming's mountain and river diagram. This, Yun Shi and the others were stunned. Detestable! Yun Kai's eyes were filled with flames of jealousy. It was not easy for them to obtain a single demonic fiend crystal, but Lu Ming had easily obtained more than 100 of them. His speed was many times faster than theirs. Lu Ming were the ones who lured these demonic creatures here. It's too unkind of you to attack them halfway. Aren't you going to give us some demonic fiend crystals? Yun Kai's eyes turned and he sneered. You lured him here? What a joke. This area is full of demonic creatures. How could you say that you attracted them here? I even saved you, but you don't even thank me for saving you, and you want me to share the demonic evil crystals with you? You are really thick-skinned. Lu Ming sneered. Umph. Yun Kai snorted coldly, his expression somewhat unsightly. Then his eyes flickered, and he revealed a fake smile. Lu Ming, you came in from the Cloud Emperor Mountain and are part of our team. How about you return to the team now? We'll get the crystals together and then split them equally. How about it? Lu Ming sneered and looked at Yun Kai as if he was an idiot. This Yun Kai was not only thick-skinned, he was also shameless. Previously, he was afraid of being hunted down by the Thousand Kills house and chased Lu Ming away. Now, after seeing Lu Ming's amazing efficiency in snatching the demonic evil crystals, he wanted Lu Ming to return to the team. He even proposed to split the demonic evil crystals equally. How ridiculous was that? A mocking smile hung on the corner of Lu Ming's lips. Sure, but after we get out of this place, we'll still be a team and we'll have to explore together. How about it? This, Yun Kai immediately stiffened. What a joke. After they left this place, Lu Ming would continue to stay with them. If the assassins from the Thousand Kill Mansion came, they would have to die with Lu Ming. How could that be? Yun Kai's eyes turned again. All right, sure. Although he said that, he was thinking that he should calm Lu Ming down first. After he obtained a large number of demonic fiend crystals and left this place, he would kick Lu Ming away. I was just joking with you. You actually believe that? Lu Ming laughed out loud, his mocking intent growing stronger. Lu Ming, Yun Kai was furious. He knew that he had been fooled by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had no intention of returning to the team. Roar. At this time, roars came from a nearby valley. The ground was shaking as a group of demonic creatures charged over. There are so many demonic creatures here. Lu Ming took a step forward and a sealing gate was formed, locking the 7 demons in place. The next moment, Lu Ming had 7 more demonic break stones. Chapter 1597. 1597 Chapter 1597 Thunderous Methods. Lu Ming cooperated with the bubbles and harvested the demonic fiend crystals from the demonic creatures wantonly. Yun Kai's eyes turned red with jealousy. He roared in anger and wanted to get the demonic fiend crystals as well. However, after fighting with a demonic creature for a long time, he only managed to get one. On the other hand, Lu Ming had nearly 100 demonic fiend crystals in his account. There were more than 100 monsters running out of the canyon, but only a dozen were left. At this moment, a few young men flew over from the sky. As soon as the few young men arrived, their eyes were immediately attracted to Lu Ming. At that moment, Lu Ming was casting the 9 seals of the Gate of God. 7 gates of sealing sealed 7 demons and seized 7 demonic fiend crystals. What a powerful sealing technique! One of the young men's eyes lit up. At this moment, Lu Ming also noticed that the few youths in the sky had cast the Gate of Seal again to seal the remaining demons and seize the demonic fiend crystals. Then, he moved his body and was about to leave the place. However, in the sky, the few young men's figures flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. What business do you have here? Lu Ming asked coldly. It's nothing. We saw that your sealing technique was not bad, so we wanted to cooperate with you. One of the short-haired young men said with a faint smile. The aura of a 9th-level martial royal realm expert was released from his body and locked onto Lu Ming. Cooperation? I'm not interested, I prefer to be alone. Lu Ming rejected him directly. After being rejected by Lu Ming, the short-haired teenager's face turned cold. He said in a threatening tone, Brat, you're only at the 7th level of the martial royal realm. You'd better see the situation clearly. As soon as he finished speaking, the aura on his body grew stronger, forming a terrifying pressure that pressed down on Lu Ming. The threat was self-evident. At the same time, the other 3 young men also released their auras and pressed toward Lu Ming. 1 peak LV9 Martial Royal Realm and 2 peak LV8 Martial Royal Realm experts. The 4 experts surrounded Lu Ming with gloomy eyes. Not far away, Yun Kai was gloating. Who told this brat to be so arrogant? Let's see how he dies now. Yun Shi, this has nothing to do with us, so you'd better not interfere. Yun Kai sneered and reminded Yun Shi not to make a move. Yun Shi frowned. However, the other party had 2 people in the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm. Even if she wanted to help, she was afraid that she would be powerless. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He looked around and spat out a word coldly, "Get lost." His words made the 4 young men's faces sink. Brat, if it wasn't for the fact that you have some value, I would have slapped you to death right now. Now, I'll give you 2 options. The first is to hand over the demonic evil crystals you have, and then obediently follow us and help us hunt for demonic evil crystals. The second option is death. Which one do you choose? The short-haired teenager said coldly. I'll choose the other 2 paths. Lu Ming said. Which 2? The short-haired teenager was stunned and asked subconsciously. The first condition is for you to get lost immediately. The second condition is for you to die. Lu Ming said. The 4 young men were stunned. Brat, you dare to play with us? You're looking for death. The short-haired teenager's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. A lightning sword appeared in his hand and he slashed it at Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and activated his divine sword technique, attacking the other party's soul. The short-haired teenager's sword stopped halfway and he roared. Lu Ming held the black dragon spear and pierced through the short-haired man, nailing him to the ground. Since he was going to make a move, Lu Ming would not show any mercy. He immediately launched a thunderous attack and killed his opponent. The other 3 people were stunned. They never expected Lu Ming to be so terrifying that he could kill the short-haired teenager in one move. The short-haired teenager was a 9th level Martial Royal Realm expert, 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. Yet he was killed in one move. By the time the 3 of them reacted, it was already too late. The 7 sealing gates appeared around them, and the terrifying sealing power made it difficult for them to move. They unleashed their full power in an attempt to destroy the sealing gate. Kill! Then, the godly sword technique burst out and stabbed into the 3 people's bodies. Their souls felt like they were about to be torn apart. Ah, no! Spare my life! The 3 young men shouted in fear. However, what welcomed them were Lu Ming's 3 terrifying spear tips. The spear light pierced through the 3 young men and they all died. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming kept the 4 young men's storage rings, then cast a cold glance at Yun Kai. Yun Kai's entire body trembled in fear, his heart turning cold and his face as pale as a sheet. 4 experts, including those in the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm, could not even fight back against Lu Ming. They were killed in an instant. With such combat strength, killing him was as easy as turning over his hand. This Lu Ming, how is he so strong? How can he be so strong? Yun Kai roared in his heart. Although they both had a superior grade Earth spiritual body, Lu Ming's combat strength was much higher than the others. It was hard for him to accept. In fact, Lu Ming's combat strength was not much higher than that of the short-haired teenager. Earlier on, the few of them had underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming's godly sword technique and the 9 seals of the divine gate worked together flawlessly. It was too amazing. As long as one's combat strength did not exceed Lu Ming's by too much, one would only be dead under Lu Ming's attack. If he was a half-saint, Lu Ming's 2 moves would not be of much use. Lu Ming's current soul force was barely close to that of a half-saint. Although the divine sword technique could shake the soul of a half-saint, it would not be so serious and the other party would be able to resist it. The 9 seals of the Gate of God would also be defeated by the other party. However, a 9th level Martial Royal Realm upper earthly spiritual body genius could not withstand 2 moves from Lu Ming. Lu Ming could indeed kill him easily. Lu Ming cast a cold glance at Yun Kai. Then he flapped his black wings and soared into the sky, leaving the place. After Lu Ming left, Yun Kai heaved a long sigh of relief. The pressure that Lu Ming had given him just now was too great. This kid. Yun Kai gritted his teeth.
What?
At this time, a few more demonic creatures rushed out of the canyon. Yun Shi and the others gathered their thoughts and began to fight the demonic creatures. There were only a few demonic creatures, so it wasn't difficult for them to take care of them. It didn't take long for them to seize the demonic evil crystals. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. At this time, there was another sound in the sky. 3 figures appeared above them, and a terrifying pressure pressed down on the 4 of them. The WN clan's chosen. Yun Kai said with a pale face. The 3 people in the sky were the distinguished young man from the Wan family and the 2 young men in purple. So you are from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Now hand over all the demonic evil crystals you have. A young man in purple stepped out and said coldly. What? You want to rob our demonic fiend crystals? Yun, she said angrily. If you don't give it to us, we'll kill you. Hurry up, we don't have time to waste on you. The young man in purple said. You guys. Yun, she was furious, but she was helpless. She glanced at the noble young man with fear. That noble young man was definitely an extremely terrifying figure. The pressure he gave her was too great. She had a feeling that the noble young man only needed one move to kill her. Chapter 1598. 1598 Launching Lu Ming. In the end, Yun Shi and the others had no choice but to take out all the demonic evil crystals and give them to the young man in purple. The purple-shirt young man handed it to the noble young man respectfully. After the noble youth put it away, he turned around to leave. Wait a moment. Yun Kai called out. The noble youth turned around and looked at Yun Kai, indifferently saying, What's wrong? Do you want to die? No, it's my honor to present my demonic evil crystals to you. I have an important piece of news to tell you. There's a person who has at least hundreds of demonic evil crystals, or even more. Yun Kai hurriedly said. A few hundred? The noble youth's eyes were burning with passion. Kid, who has the ability to get a few hundred demonic evil crystals? If you lie, you're asking for death, you know? A young man in purple shouted coldly. I'm not lying. We can all testify that the man has mastered a sealing technique that can quickly seal the demonic creatures and then seize the demonic evil crystals. This place is filled with dense demonic chi, which has not dissipated yet. It's caused by the man just now. Yun Kai said. Yun Kai? Yun, she scolded. She did not expect Yun Kai to be so despicable that he wanted to push Lu Ming out. Yun Kai's eyes flickered with a ruthless light, and he didn't look at Yun Shi. That's right. The demonic chi here is indeed very dense. Who is that person? The noble youth said. You've all seen that person. The kid who was with us previously even defeated one of you by luck. His name is Lu Ming. Yun Kai hurriedly said. So it's him. The noble young man's eyes flashed with a sharp light and said, You'd better not let me find out. You're lying to me. Tell me, which direction did he go? That direction. Yun Kai pointed in the direction where Lu Ming had left. Let's go. The distinguished young man said. He led the 2 young men in purple in the direction that Lu Ming had left and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yun Kai, you've gone too far. Lu Ming has no grudges with us. We came in together and let him leave alone. That's too much. Yun Shi looked at Yun Kai with a disappointed expression. Why are you in such a hurry? Don't tell me you've taken a fancy to that kid? Yun Kai sneered. Don't spout nonsense. Yun Shi said, blushing. That brat doesn't know what's good for him. He's so arrogant. I don't like him. He's just from the Azure continent. He has to be respectful in front of my Cloud Emperor Mountain. Otherwise, hell die. Yun Kai said coldly, his eyes filled with jealousy. Yun Shi sighed, filled with loathing for Yun Kai. Yun Kai was too narrow-minded. Of course, Lu Ming did not know that the Wan family's paragon was already looking for him. He continued to search for demonic creatures and seize demonic fiend crystals. Along the way, he seized dozens of demonic evil crystals. He already had nearly 300 demonic fiend crystals on him. Of course, most of them were at LV6 Martial Royal Realm. There were even some at LV5, LV8, and LV9. Although there were few of them, they were still a huge fortune. If he were to refine it, his soul power would definitely increase greatly. A demonic leopard with amazing speed actually ran away when it saw that it was no match for the opponent. This was a demonic creature at the peak of the 9th level martial royal realm. Lu Ming would not let it escape. Where do you think you're going? Lu Ming cast the wind elemental technique, coupled with the black wings, and chased after the demonic leopard at top speed. However, when the demonic leopard ran, it was like a bolt of black lightning. Lu Ming could not catch up with it for a while. It seems like I have to find some time to cultivate a movement technique domain martial technique. The wind element technique can't keep up. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. As his cultivation level increased, the wind elemental technique was gradually becoming insufficient. He had to cultivate stronger martial arts techniques. Bubble! Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Bubbles. The pagoda floating above his head emitted the sound of a bubble. Then, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared and enveloped the demonic leopard. The demonic leopard was frozen in place. Lu Ming rushed over. His hand was like a dragon's claw as he grabbed the demonic leopard's head and pulled out a demonic fiend crystal. Zhen Yuan poured in and obliterated the spirit of the demonic fiend crystal. At this moment, Lu Ming looked behind him. The sound of something breaking through the air was heard. 3 figures came at top speed and appeared in Lu Ming's line of sight. It's them. Lu Ming frowned slightly. The 3 people who had appeared were the 3 from the Wan family. I've finally found this guy. A young man in purple laughed. After a few breaths, the 3 people from the Wan family appeared in front of Lu Ming. 2 of them, who were young men in purple, surrounded Lu Ming in a flash. What's wrong? Back then, one of them was defeated, and now it's time for another to fight? Lu Ming frowned and said coldly, Brat, you only won against me because I was careless. The young man in purple who was defeated by Lu Ming earlier said with a gloomy expression, Boy, I heard that you have a large number of demonic evil crystals and know a sealing technique. Now hand over all your demonic evil crystals and follow us to hunt for them. If you do that, I will spare your life. They're after my demonic fiend crystals and the sealing technique again. But how did they know I have a large number of demonic fiend crystals? Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. These people didn't see him hunting a large number of demons. I think you've made a mistake. I'm alone, so how can I have a large number of demonic evil crystals? Since I entered here, I've only obtained a few demonic evil crystals. If you want them, I'll give them to you. Besides, I don't know any sealing techniques. Lu Ming said, Brat, don't try to quibble. It was said by a brat who was with you before. It's said by your own people, how can it be wrong? A young man in purple sneered. One of our own? Open the clouds. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He guessed that Yun Kai must have told him. A cold, killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Yun Kai was always at odds with him. It seemed like he would kill him if he had the chance. Previously, he came here by taking the teleportation formation of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. In the future, he would have to pass by the Cloud Emperor Mountain when he left. That was why he kept showing mercy to Yun Kai. However, it seemed that it was useless to show mercy now. The other party would only become more aggressive. If there was a chance, Lu Ming would kill him. Kid, you have nothing to say now, right? Hurry up and hand it over. Come with us and help us seal the demonic creature. A young man in purple berated. All right, I'll pay. Lu Ming said. With that, a storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he threw it at the distinguished young man. The distinguished young man subconsciously blocked it. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. He charged at the youth in purple, who was at the peak of LV8 Martial Emperor Realm. He activated his prison suppressing heaven technique and punched him. You! The young man did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly attack him. He roared and resisted with all his might. However, in his haste, he could only use less than half of his strength. How could he block Lu Ming? Lu Ming's fist force pressed down and the young man in purple was torn to pieces. How dare you! You're looking for death. At this moment, the noble young man finally reacted. He let out a loud roar, and a terrifying chi of a combat weapon emanated from his body. He swung his palm at Lu Ming with terrifying power. Chapter 1599. 1599 The Three Stages of a Half-Saint Buzz. The pagoda above Lu Ming's head exuded a mysterious wave. Bubbles made her move. She wrapped Lu Ming in the space-time domain. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he dodged the noble young man's attack. At this moment, the distinguished young man scanned the storage ring that Lu Ming threw to him with his spiritual sense and found that it was empty. He knew that Lu Ming had fooled him. Die! A light spot lit up in the palm of the noble young man. A combat sword flew out and slashed at Lu Ming. The power of the sword was extremely terrifying. Facing this sword, Lu Ming only had one thought, and that was that he could not be defeated. This noble young man was definitely a half-saint, and an extremely terrifying one at that. Buzz! The black wings appeared and flashed rapidly. Lu Ming rushed to the right with a swish, avoiding the sword light of the noble youth. You can't escape. The noble young man's eyes were as cold as a knife. Lu Ming, a mere 7th-level martial emperor, had dared to trick him and even killed a member of the Wan family in front of him. In his heart, he had already sentenced Lu Ming to death. His body seemed to have turned into a divine weapon as he chased after Lu Ming. Buzz! At this moment, the pagoda above Lu Ming's head emitted a mysterious fluctuation and a space-time tunnel was formed. This space-time tunnel did not lead to the front, but to the back where another purple-robed youth was. Lu Ming took a step in and appeared not far away from another young man in purple. Kill, die! Lu Ming shouted. The divine sword technique burst out and rushed into the other party's soul. The other party screamed in pain. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming rushed over and killed the purple-robed young man with a punch. He then seized the other party's storage ring. Since there was already enmity between them, Lu Ming would not show any mercy. You're looking for death. Seeing that Lu Ming had killed another purple-shirt young man, the distinguished young man was furious and his killing intent was extremely strong. All of a sudden, 8 light spots lit up on his body. 8 weapons flew out from the 8 light spots, and the terrifying battle weapon chi wreaked havoc in the air. Holy weapons, all of them were holy weapons. In addition to the sword, all 9 weapons were holy weapons. The fusion of the 9 holy weapons battle weapon chis was unimaginably powerful. Lu Ming's body was covered in cold air as he felt a fatal threat. Bubble, let's go! Lu Ming's black wings flickered as he retreated frantically. Then, Bubbles made a move and a space-time tunnel was formed. Lu Ming rushed in directly. Stay here and kill! The noble youth roared as he slashed his sword, causing terrifying ripples to appear in the air. Boom! The terrifying sword radiance slashed at the space-time tunnel, destroying the space-time and everything. The space-time tunnel trembled violently and then collapsed. Lu Ming was blasted out of the space-time tunnel just as he was halfway through the journey. What terrifying battle power! He can even destroy the space-time tunnel. Let's go! Lu Ming cast the wind elemental art. Energy kept flowing into the air-frozen bead. His black wings flapped wildly. Lu Ming turned into a stream of light and flew forward at top speed. Buzz! Behind him, his saint weapon trembled. The noble youth turned into a sword light, chasing after Lu Ming at an extreme speed. He was so fast that he surpassed Lu Ming's speed, and the distance between the two of them was rapidly closing. What an amazing speed! They'll take you to a place then. There was a cold glint in Lu Ming's eyes. He slowly changed his direction and flew towards a mountain. The young man chased after him and in the blink of an eye, he had crossed a long distance. The distance between Lu Ming and the distinguished young man was getting closer and closer. You will die today. The noble youth's cold voice came from behind. You sound very confident, but how did I kill your 2 subordinates? Lu Ming's mocking voice was heard, causing the noble youth's killing intent to grow even stronger. Roar! A terrifying roar came from the front, and demonic chi soared into the sky. We're here! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he had been hunting demonic creatures, he had passed by this place and found that there were terrible demonic creatures gathering here. He had seen a few of them at random, and they were all at the half-saint level, so he had bypassed them. Now, he could use these demonic creatures to stop the noble young man. Buzz! Lu Ming flew straight towards the source of the roar. In the next moment, a huge valley appeared before his eyes. In the valley, many terrifying demonic creatures were wandering around, roaring from time to time. Their power was shocking, and there was a faint saint might permeating the air. At a glance, there were at least a dozen demons, all of which were at the half-saint level. Lu Ming dashed into the valley without any hesitation. Roar! At once, the demonic creatures went berserk. Demonic chi surged and they roared like thunder as they charged at Lu Ming. Bang! A demonic creature that looked like a giant wolf smacked Lu Ming with its claws. Lu Ming's body shattered like glass. It was a shadow, but Lu Ming's body had already appeared on the other side. The bubble wrapped Lu Ming in the space-time domain. Lu Ming's body flashed rapidly as if he was shuttling through space-time. He avoided the attacks of the half-saint demons and continued to venture deeper into the valley. You think you can stop me with these demons? Ridiculous, kill. The noble young man's cold voice sounded and he also rushed into the valley. His 9 saint weapons circled around him, and a terrible chi of battle weapons gathered. A sword light cut through, and a half-saint demonic creature's body was directly blown apart, turning into a rolling mass of demonic chi. Then, the noble young man punched with his other hand. The honorable young man's fist seemed to have turned into a divine weapon that could break anything. Boom! A half-saint demonic creature was smashed by a punch. He reached out and grabbed a demonic evil crystal. What powerful strength! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The noble young man's strength was beyond his imagination. They were all half-saints, but the demons were killed by the noble young man in one move. The noble young man's every move contained the power of the laws. It was obvious that he had already comprehended the laws. There were strong and weak half-saints. Half-saints were divided into 3 stages according to their realms. In the first stage, one would comprehend the ultimate domain and become a half-saint. The domain above the 9th level was the ultimate domain. As long as one comprehended the ultimate domain, they would be a half-saint. The second stage was to comprehend the power of the laws. After comprehending the laws, he was much more powerful than a half-saint in the first stage. As for the third stage, it was the body of the laws. He was only half a step away from the saint realm. As long as he condensed his saint heart and transformed his true essence into saint power, he would be in the saint realm. When the law was used, the power of the spirit body would reach a terrifying level, far beyond the second stage. The noble young man should be in the second stage of half-saint. Bang! Bang! One by one, the half-saint demons were crushed by the noble young man. They turned into demonic chi and then condensed again. He did not linger in the battle. He dashed past and charged toward Lu Ming. Chapter 1600 Heavenly Spiritual Body Roar. Roar! At this time, a burst of terrifying roars came from the depths of the valley. The earth shook, and more than 20 demons rushed out all of a sudden. They were all at the half-saint level, and some were equivalent to the second stage of half-saint. However, regardless of whether they were at the first stage or the second stage of the half-saint realm, they were all killed by the noble young man in one move. This person's battle prowess was too strong, reaching a shocking level. With the help of the bubbles, Lu Ming dodged the attacks of the demons and continued to venture deeper into the valley. An earth-shaking roar was heard as a beam of demonic chi shot up into the sky. Bang! Bang! Heavy footsteps were heard as a huge creature walked out of the valley. It was a demonic bear that was 100 meters tall. It was like a small mountain, and with every step it took, the ground would rumble. The demonic bear roared, and the wind howled. Terrifying saintly might filled the air. Saint Realm. This demonic bear was a true saint. The demonic bear tried to slap Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming retreated frantically to one side of the valley. At the same time, he used his holy weapon shield to block in front of him and his black wings to protect his body. Bubble's spacetime domain was also added to Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming retreated as if he was traveling through space and time. Boom! The demonic bear's palm slammed down, and the Bubble's spacetime domain continued to collapse. Finally, with a bang, it struck the sacred weapon shield, which then struck the black wings. It was as if Lu Ming had been hit by a huge mountain. His body was like a cannonball, crashing into the wall of the valley at the side. With a loud bang, he crashed into the wall, and gravel flew everywhere. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. The existence of the Saint Realm was too terrifying. Lu Ming was far from it. Even with the help of the bubbles, he could not avoid it. The space-time domain was directly destroyed. However, the time and space domain had also blocked a large portion of the demonic bear's power. After that, it was blocked by the holy weapon shield and the black wings. Although Lu Ming was beaten until he spat out blood, he was not seriously injured. Is this the power of the Saint Realm? The Divine Sun is the #1 heaven's favorite of the Azure continent. How strong must he be after breaking through to the Saint Realm? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. He felt great pressure. He didn't have much time left. There was only less than a year and a half before the next treasure sealing assembly. He had to quickly break through in this time. After the demonic bear slapped Lu Ming away, it was as if it had swatted away a fly. Then, it ignored Lu Ming and rushed toward the distinguished young man. In its eyes, the noble young man was the greater threat. The demonic bear stomped on the ground, and its mountain-like palms swept toward the noble youth. So what if he's a saint? Fight! The noble young man roared. His battle intent was like a rainbow, and his messy hair was dancing wildly. He circulated his combat strength to the extreme. The chi of 9 saint weapons gathered on the sword in his hand, and he slashed out a dazzling sword light. Boom! The sword radiance and the demonic bear's palm collided with a terrible boom. The terrifying chi spread out and sent several half-saint demonic creatures flying and exploding in the air. It was so shocking that the aftermath alone could scatter half-saint demons. Bang! 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 After the boom, the noble young man's body trembled. He stepped in the void and retreated 8 or 9 steps, while the demonic bear's towering body remained as still as a mountain. The noble young man was no match for the saint demonic creature. It was too difficult for a non-saint to become a battle saint, and the gap was too great. The demonic bear roared and continued to step forward, slapping toward the noble young man. The noble young man's aura grew stronger and stronger. 3 more light spots lit up in his body, and 3 more holy weapons flew out. A total of 12 saint weapons floated around him, and the power of their battle weapon chi was extremely strong. In the void above the noble young man, a shadow suddenly appeared. In the shadow, countless weapons were dancing in the air. It was extremely mysterious. This is heaven and earth phenomenon. This person is indeed a heavenly spiritual body. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. Legend had it that the heavenly spiritual body was a person favored by the heavens. It was extremely terrifying. Once one's strength was exerted to the extreme, a heavenly phenomenon would appear in the sky. It was also known as a celestial phenomenon, a heavenly spiritual body. No wonder his combat strength was so terrifying. A superior grade earth spiritual body was considered a heaven's favorite, but compared to a heaven spiritual body, it was far worse. The heavenly spiritual body was a body that was blessed by the heavens. As long as they didn't die, they would have a chance to become a monarch. It was absolutely terrifying. In the younger generation of the Azure continent, there was no one with a heaven spiritual body. Even the #1 divine son of the Azure continent only had a superior earth spiritual body. This noble youth was a heaven's favorite who was even more talented than the deity. It was just that his cultivation was not as strong as his body. Kill, die! The noble young man shouted. 11 saint weapons appeared around him and whizzed towards the demonic bear. He himself held his sword and attacked the demonic bear. Boom, boom, boom. After a few consecutive exchanges, the noble young man was still at a disadvantage, but he actually withstood the demonic bear's attack. For someone who was not a saint to be able to battle a saint, it showed how terrifying the heavenly spiritual body was. Roar! At this time, more half-saint demons rushed out and wandered around, but they couldn't get close to the battle. A huge demonic tiger charged at Lu Ming. Let's go all out. This time, Lu Ming did not dodge. Instead, he charged straight at the demonic tiger. The demonic tiger opened its bloody mouth and tried to swallow Lu Ming. Its mouth was so huge that it looked like it was going to swallow an entire house. Lu Ming didn't dodge or avoid it. He rushed directly into the demonic tiger's mouth. The moment he rushed in, Lu Ming's body entered the mountain and river diagram. Only one mountain and river diagram appeared in the demonic tiger's mouth. The mountain and river diagram was a treasure refined by an emperor-level expert. Even if it was swallowed by the demonic tiger, it would be fine. Lu Ming spread his spiritual sense and paid attention to the battle outside. At this moment, the noble young man had already exchanged more than 10 moves with the demonic bear. He was gradually losing and was completely at a disadvantage. It was swallowed by the demonic tiger. The scene of Lu Ming being swallowed by the demonic soul naturally fell into the eyes of the noble young man. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He did not believe that Lu Ming would die so easily. He was probably hiding in the demonic tiger's body to avoid other demonic creatures. Indeed, when Lu Ming entered the demonic tiger's body, all the other demonic creatures had their eyes on the distinguished young man. They surrounded him and stared at him like tigers eyeing their prey. Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in the body of a demonic creature. They'll kill you all the same. The noble young man's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He was determined to kill Lu Ming. Go! He raised his hand and the 12 holy weapons, a shield and a small mountain, rushed towards the demonic bear. His body flashed and he rushed towards the demonic tiger that had swallowed Lu Ming. The demonic bear roared and slapped out with its paw, sending the saint weapon shield and the hill flying. However, this also bought time for the noble youth. His body had already appeared in front of the demonic tiger. Chapter 1601. 1601 White bones everywhere roar. The demonic tiger roared and pounced at the noble young man. However, the noble young man slashed out with his sword, and the demonic tiger's body immediately collapsed, turning into a ball of demonic chi. However, at this moment, the noble young man's pupils shrank. 2 figures had appeared in the demonic chi. The 2 figures were exactly the same. There were 2 Lu Mings. Of course, they were Lu Ming's master god and clone. Suddenly, a transparent bubble appeared on the young man's body and covered him. Space-time domain? The noble young man roared. His body glowed, and a terrifying combat weapon chi rushed out. With a bang, the transparent bubble was shattered. However, at that moment, 8 sealing gates appeared around him. Each one of them glowed with boundless light, and emanated terrifying sealing power that seemed to be trying to seal the young man. Previously, Lu Ming had continuously used the 9 seals of the Divine Gate. Unknowingly, the 9 seals of the Divine Gate had broken through again. He could condense 8 sealing gates at once, and they were even more powerful. Kill! At this moment, Lu Ming's main body roared. 2 terrifying sword gleams shot out from his eyes and rushed into the noble young man's body, causing him to tremble. Taiji! At this moment, Ming Lian whispered to himself. The Tai Chi formation disc floated above his head, and a huge Tai Chi pattern appeared, pressing down on the noble young man. The Tai Chi formation disc contained a terrifying power of obliteration and suppression. Break, break, break. The noble young man let out a long roar. He held a sword in one hand and a spear in the other, attacking in all directions. Bang, bang. The 8 sealing gates were destroyed one after another. At this moment, the Tai Chi pattern pressed down, causing the noble young man's body to shake violently. The vital essence that covered his body trembled. His body froze in the air. At this time, the demonic bear had already arrived. It slapped the noble young man. This palm directly hit the young man's body, causing him to cry out in pain as he was sent flying. He heavily crashed into a wall, creating a large crater in the valley. Bang! But in the next moment, the noble youth rushed out of the hole. However, he was in a sorry state. His clothes were in tatters, revealing a golden armor. His face was pale, and he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. His aura was weak. Just now, he had been hit by the power of the Tai Chi diagram and the demonic bear's slap. In the end, he was still severely injured. Brat, don't let me see you again. Otherwise, it'll make you wish you were dead. The noble young man let out an unwilling roar, then turned into a rainbow light and soared into the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The demonic bear did not pursue. This guy is really strong. Also, my soul power is still weak. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. The series of attacks just now had not been able to stop the noble youth. He had used the godly sword technique to attack the other party's soul. Although the other party had been affected, he had still retained a lot of strength, which was why he had escaped. Otherwise, he would have been injured by the demonic bear's slap. Lu Ming's current soul force was equivalent to the first stage of the half-saint realm. It did not have a great impact on a half-saint who had comprehended the laws. At this moment, the demonic bear's eyes looked at Lu Ming with a brutal glint. Buzz. At this moment, a buzzing sound came from Lu Ming's back. The prison-suppressing steel bloodline emerged. The prison-suppressing steel was used to suppress evil spirits. Could it suppress these demonic creatures? Lu Ming planned to give it a try. The prison-suppressing steel expanded rapidly and gave off a brilliant light. The word at the bottom of the steel was especially bright. The demonic bear's eyes revealed a look of awe. Then, it actually broke into a run and rushed into the depths of the valley. The half-saint demons did the same. They ran into the depths of the valley and disappeared. He really ran away? Lu Ming's face revealed a smile. The reason why he did not summon the prison-suppressing steel earlier was that he was afraid of scaring away these demonic creatures. If that happened, who would help him block the noble young man? There must be a secret in this valley. There are so many powerful monsters here. Let's go in and take a look. Lu Ming thought to himself. Since he had the prison-suppressing steel to intimidate the demons, Lu Ming was emboldened. Ming Lian took a step forward and entered the space between Lu Ming's eyebrows. He disappeared and went to cultivate in peace. Now that the second body was progressing very quickly, he was getting closer and closer to lighting the ninth spirit lamp. Naturally, he had to seize the time to cultivate. The prison-suppressing steel was suspended above Lu Ming's head as he walked toward the depths of the valley. The deeper he went, the wider and larger the valley became. Yes, so many bones. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He discovered that there were many white bones in the valley ahead. These white bones were of different shapes. Some were huge, like small mountains, while some were small and exquisite. However, each type of white bone was as white as jade and emitted fluorescent light. It could be seen that they had been extremely powerful when they were alive. Lu Ming retracted his aura and continued to walk forward. In front of him were bone banners of all kinds. A great war of the 100 races took place in the ancient times. Could this be the burial ground of the 100 races? And those demons were transformed after the death of these powerhouses? Lu Ming secretly guessed. This was because the spiritual essence of these bone goo had been lost very seriously. Some of the bone goo had completely turned into dust. Obviously, they had experienced a long time. Lu Ming saw a huge human-shaped bone armor. This bone armor was very strange. It was golden in color and was 7 to 8 meters long. Could this be the legendary golden giant? Lu Ming's heart stirred. The giant race was real, and the golden giant was the royal race among the giants. They were extremely terrifying and were natural-born warriors. Could this be the Qilin's bone armor? The next moment, Lu Ming saw a skeleton armor that looked very much like the legendary Qilin. Unfortunately, the spiritual essence in these bones was about to be depleted and they were no longer of any value. If the spiritual essence of these bone goo was not lost, the value of these bone goo would be shocking. Strange, there shouldn't be so many bone goo in a 100-clan war. They should be scattered everywhere. Did someone purposely gather these corpses here? Someone asked. Lu Ming made a guess. Then, are there any dragon bones here? Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The dragon clan was most likely involved in the 100-tribe war. If he could find some dragon bones, his dragon god combat body would be able to evolve. If he could break through the category of an earth spiritual body and evolve into a low-grade heaven spiritual body, Lu Ming's strength would skyrocket. Let's look for it. Lu Ming was suddenly in high spirits. Although the spiritual essence of the bone armor had been severely lost, as long as there was enough of it, it could still allow Lu Ming's dragon divine combat body to evolve. Lu Ming continued to venture deeper and finally entered a huge plot of land. It was covered with all kinds of bone banners. He could not see the end of it. It was as if he had come to a world of bones. Chapter 1602, 1602 Spirit Body Evolution Roar. The roars of the demonic creatures could be heard from all directions. However, due to the prison-defending monument, these demonic creatures avoided Lu Ming. There are so many powerful demonic creatures. There's more than one Saint Realm demonic creature. Lu Ming sensed his surroundings and was secretly shocked. He could sense several terrifying demons here, exuding powerful saint might. Fortunately, he had the prison-suppressing steel to deter these demonic creatures. Otherwise, he would have been killed by the demonic creatures before he could even walk in. That is, dragon bone. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he strode forward. A bone goo that was a few hundred meters long lay on the ground. There were 5 dragon claws under its belly. If it was not a true dragon bone goo, what else could it be? Lu Ming was overjoyed. There were really dragon bones here. As expected, the loss of spiritual essence is very serious. Lu Ming walked to the side of the dragon bone and sensed it carefully. He sighed slightly. Although the dragon bone was huge, there was not much spiritual essence left. It would probably be difficult for his dragon god combat body to evolve. There should be more than one dragon bone here. Let's look for it again. Lu Ming started to look around. This plot of land was extremely large and was covered with bone armor. The sky was also filled with a faint demonic chi that obstructed one's vision. Lu Ming could only search slowly. As expected, Lu Ming found another dragon bone not long after. Similarly, it had lost a lot of its spiritual essence. Lu Ming dragged this dragon bone to the previous one and placed the two together. He then continued his search. Half a day later, Lu Ming found a total of 10 huge dragon bones. These dragon bones were definitely above the saint realm when they were alive. They might not be just bright saints, but even stronger. But they all died in battle. After finding the 10 dragon bones, Lu Ming walked one more round, but he did not find any new dragon bones. It seems that these are the only dragon bones here. 10 dragon bones should be enough. There was a look of anticipation in Lu Ming's eyes as he returned to the pile of dragon bones. The 10 dragon bones were stacked together like a small mountain. Lu Ming immediately sat cross-legged and his devouring power burst forth, enveloping the pile of dragon bones. He devoured the spiritual essence in the dragon bones and began to cultivate the dragon divine combat body. It was the perfect place to cultivate. The prison-suppressing steel was floating in the air. The demonic creatures didn't dare to get close to it, and other warriors couldn't get in. It was the perfect place to cultivate. The essence of the dragon bone was constantly being devoured and refined by the devouring power, seeping into Lu Ming's spirit body. Lu Ming's body was emitting a faint glow, and a faint dragon's roar could be heard. The spiritual essence in the dragon bone continued to gather in Lu Ming's body and seeped into the depths of his physical body. As long as it accumulated to a certain extent, Lu Ming's spirit body would undergo a qualitative change and achieve an upgrade, reaching a higher level in one go. Just like that, Lu Ming focused on cultivation. Time flew by and in the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. A dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens as it emanated from Lu Ming's body. The 10 true dragon bones were instantly reduced to ashes by the dragon's roar and scattered on the ground. The spiritual essence in the dragon bones had been completely absorbed by Lu Ming. Naturally, the dragon bones had turned into powder. At this moment, the dragon's roar in Lu Ming's body grew stronger and stronger. In the end, a huge shadow of 9 dragons appeared in the void above Lu Ming's head. The 9 dragons stepped in the void and roamed in space. Heaven and Earth Phenomenon. The appearance of the Heaven and Earth phenomenon indicated that Lu Ming's spirit body had officially entered the ranks of the Heaven spirit body. Buzz. Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. His body rose into the air and he threw a punch. A terrifying fist force, with an ear-piercing whistling sound, was blasted toward a half-saint demonic creature not far away. The demonic creature was sent flying by the force of the punch, and it was sent flying hundreds of meters away. What a powerful force! Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. The demonic creature was at the first stage of the half-saint realm. It was considered an ordinary half-saint, but it was sent flying by Lu Ming's punch. Lu Ming's cultivation was still at the peak of the 7th level martial emperor realm. However, his combat strength had been greatly improved and he was much stronger than before. A heaven spiritual body was not something an earth spiritual body could compare to. Buzz. Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the half-saint while the prison-suppressing steel pressed down on the demonic creature. The demonic creature screamed and ran away. Well, forget it. Here, if I use the prison-guarding steel, these demonic creatures will not dare to fight me. But once I put the prison-guarding steel away, these demonic creatures will attack me together. Lu Ming felt a little depressed. He had wanted to see if he could get some half-saint demonic evil crystals, but it seemed that he could forget about it. It's been half a month. It's time to leave. I can't just hide in one place and cultivate. Lu Ming pondered and then walked out of the valley. He had enough demonic fiend crystals on him for a while. Not long after, he left the valley, put away the prison-suppressing steel, spread his black wings, and flew toward the exit of this area. On the way, he also found some other people who were still hunting for demonic fiend crystals. Lu Ming did not stop. He spread his black wings and flew at an astonishing speed. He whizzed past the ground below. It did not take long for Lu Ming to see the exit. He flew straight out of the crack that he had entered through. Just as Lu Ming flew out of the crack, his pupils suddenly narrowed. He felt a terrible crisis descending upon him. There was a slight fluctuation that was aimed at Lu Ming's throat. The terrifying sharpness made Lu Ming's muscles tense up. Boom! Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming threw an uppercut upward. Thump! This punch seemed to have landed on a long sword. With a clang, the long sword was deflected by Lu Ming's punch. However, the terrifying sharpness still left a bloody mark on Lu Ming's neck. Moreover, there were also wisps of terrifying sword chi that flowed along Lu Ming's fist and into his arm. Lu Ming's arm muscles trembled and he destroyed the sword chi. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound of the air being torn rang out again. The terrifying sharpness was aimed at the vital points all over Lu Ming's body. Retreat! Lu Ming's figure retreated rapidly. He retreated from the crack and returned to the world under the crack, standing in the void. There from the 1,000-kill mansion, Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a sharp glint. The assassins of the 1,000-kill mansion had finally arrived. You'll die for killing the people of my 1,000 kills mansion. A cold voice was heard. 2 figures appeared in front of Lu Ming. They were dressed in black and exuded a cold killing intent and a faint holy aura. Half-saint. The 2 men in black were actually half-saints. The 1,000-kill mansion really thinks highly of me. They've sent 2 half-saints. Lu Ming said. That's why no one can escape from the people killed by my 1,000 kills mansion. One of the black-robed men said coldly. It was true that they had only killed 2 assassins at the 8th level of the martial emperor realm. However, 2 half-step saint assassins had been dispatched to kill Lu Ming. It was a foolproof plan. Chapter 1603, 1603 Fighting a Half-Saint, Do It. The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands. He spread his black wings and his eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. From the aura of the two assassins, it was obvious that they were first-stage half-saints who had mastered the ultimate domain. Lu Ming's spirit body had just completed its evolution and became a low-grade celestial spirit body. He wanted to test his combat power. Before the spirit body evolved, Lu Ming was confident that he could fight against an ordinary first-stage half-saint. What was an ordinary first-stage half-saint? They were existences who broke through to the half-saint realm with ordinary spiritual bodies or low-grade spiritual bodies. However, the two people in front of him were obviously high-grade spiritual bodies. Their combat strength was by no means comparable to ordinary half-saints. There's no need for two people to join forces to kill a LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert like you. I can do it alone. One of the men in black stepped out. In his hand, a long sword as thin as a cicada's wing was faintly visible. The other person stood still in the air. Buzz. The black-robed man in front of him moved. With a single move, his figure disappeared into the air without a trace. All of a sudden, there was a slight sound of the air being torn behind Lu Ming. A sharp sword radiance was aimed at the back of Lu Ming's heart. He was so fast. The other party had just moved and he had already appeared behind Lu Ming. Such a terrifying assassination technique was truly shocking. Buzz. The black dragon spear shook and swept behind him. However, when the black dragon spear swept past, the sharp intent disappeared. In the next moment, another sharp intent appeared in front of Lu Ming. The terrifying sword chi had yet to reach Lu Ming, but it seemed as if it was going to tear him apart. Buzz. Lu Ming controlled the black wings and slashed forward like a heavenly blade. But just like before, the black wings slashed through the air, and the other party had already disappeared. The other party's speed was too fast. When he attacked, he was as fast as lightning. He could attack Lu Ming from all directions at any time. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound of air being torn suddenly rang out continuously, as if it was attacking Lu Ming from all directions. For a moment, Lu Ming did not know which side was real and which side was fake. Sweep! Lu Ming used the most domineering method and swept the black dragon spear in all directions. However, there was no one in sight. The assassination techniques of the Thousand-Kill Mansion are indeed amazing. The body can be hidden, but the soul can't. Lu Ming muttered. He then closed his eyes and released his spiritual consciousness to sense the other party's soul fluctuations. Over there! All of a sudden, Lu Ming felt an obscure soul fluctuation. Without any hesitation, he became one with his spear and stabbed in that direction. Clang! The sound of metal clashing rang out. A black figure appeared and floated back in the void. You're only at LV7 Martial Emperor realm, but your soul power is very strong. You can actually find my location through soul fluctuations. The man in black said, looking a little surprised. Your concealment technique is useless against me. Lu Ming said. That was just a test. Since the art of concealment is useless against you, it'll kill you head-on. The man in black sneered, and the killing intent on his body became stronger. Buzz. The man in black moved and pounced at Lu Ming. He was as fast as a black stream of light, leaving behind a series of afterimages. The terrifying sword chi cut through the void and stabbed at Lu Ming. If concealment didn't work, he would directly attack. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. A dragon's roar sounded from his body as he stabbed with the long spear in his hand. Clang! The long spear and the long sword clashed. Lu Ming could sense a terrifying destructive force on the other party's sword. It flowed along the black dragon spear and surged towards him. Lu Ming circulated his quintessential essence and chaos domain to resist the force. The two of them retreated at the same time. Extreme space-breaking domain. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. His opponent's territory had surpassed the 9th-level territory and reached the ultimate territory. It was also a space-breaking territory with amazing penetrating power. Kill! The man in black retreated and charged at Lu Ming again. The sword light filled the sky like stars. Lu Ming's long spear trembled and shadows of the spear filled the sky, colliding with the other party continuously. The sound of concentrated collisions rang out, and in the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged dozens of moves, neither of them being able to separate. Buzz. The black-robed man was like a phantom as he retreated rapidly. He looked at Lu Ming with a gaze full of surprise. He had not expected Lu Ming's combat strength to be so terrifying. The other man in black who was watching the battle from a distance also had a serious look in his eyes. "Is this all you've got? You're nothing more than this." Lu Ming sneered. "You actually have a heavenly spiritual body. Can you kill a genius of my 1,000 kills prefecture? But your cultivation is too weak. If your cultivation was 1 or 2 levels stronger, I wouldn't be your opponent. But now you still have to die." The man in black said coldly. The long sword in his hand emitted a layer of strange black light. 1,000 kill sword technique, 10-step slash. The figure of the man in black instantly crossed the void. The terrifying sword light was like a flying immortal from beyond the heavens. He instantly slashed out 10 swords, each of which contained extremely terrifying power. This was a terrifying killing technique that could kill with a single strike. Lu Ming's gaze turned solemn. The muscles on his body bulged as the black dragon spear in his hand seemed to transform into a black dragon as it roared and shot out. Clang, clang. There were consecutive collisions. Waves of terrifying sword chi flowed along the spear and surged into Lu Ming's body. However, they were all destroyed by Lu Ming's powerful body. 1,000 kill sword technique, kill 100 people. The terrifying sword light rose again, and it was even more shocking than before. 100 people were killed with 1 sword. Lu Ming let out a long hiss, his fighting spirit soaring to the heavens as he fought with his opponent. Puchi. There was a sword wound on Lu Ming's shoulder. However, it was healing rapidly under Lu Ming's powerful spirit body. To be honest, the combat strength of the man in black was indeed shocking. The main thing was that his cultivation was much higher than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming's cultivation was at the peak of the 7th level martial royal realm, while the other party's cultivation was at the first stage of half-saint. The gap between the peak of the 9th level martial emperor realm and the half-saint realm was not as simple as 1 level. Therefore, the gap between the first stage half-saint and the 7th level martial emperor realm was too big. If it was an ordinary half-saint, Lu Ming could naturally surpass it. However, the other party was also a prodigy with an upper-class earth spiritual body. After exchanging hundreds of moves, Lu Ming was actually at a slight disadvantage. Not enough, far from enough. Lu Ming kept growling in his heart. If he wanted to stimulate all his potential in a life-and-death battle, this kind of pressure was far from enough for him. He needed the pressure of near-death to stimulate his potential and break through quickly. "Is this all you've got? And you still dare to boast shamelessly about killing me? How laughable. You two come at me together." Lu Ming let out a long howl, his fighting spirit growing stronger. "How is that possible?" The man in black found it hard to believe. As a half-saint, he could not even kill a LV7 martial royal realm expert. Even if he had the heavenly spiritual body, his combat strength couldn't be so strong that he could cross so many realms and fight with him. He had seen a heavenly spiritual body before. There were more than 1 heavenly spiritual body in the 1,000 kill mansion. They were definitely not this strong. Chapter 1604 Chapter 1604 Life and Death Ethereal Realm, Let's Attack Together. The man in black roared. Buzz. The other black-robed man who was watching the battle moved and pounced at Lu Ming. The sword light cut through the void, and the terrifying sharpness seemed to want to tear Lu Ming apart. This man's cultivation was even stronger than the man in black. He was not far from the 2nd stage of half-saint, where he could comprehend nomological laws. "Kill, die!" Lu Ming shouted. The divine sword technique turned into a sound wave that rushed out, slowing down the opponent's sword momentum. At the same time, Lu Ming stabbed with his spear, blocking the opponent's long sword. 1,000 kill sword technique, 1,000-mile space. The first black-clothed man once again used a terrifying killing technique. Thousands of sword lights bloomed from his hands, and the sword chi whistled in the sky. It was extremely terrifying. As the first man in black swung his sword, the sword light that filled the sky turned into one and slashed toward Lu Ming. "It's dangerous." At this moment, Lu Ming felt a sense of fatal danger. The sword light was too fast. It was so fast that Lu Ming could not block it in time. His first reaction was to use his black wings to block in front of him. His opponent's sword light pierced the black wings. An ear-piercing sound rang out, and sparks flew in all directions. The opponent's long sword had actually pierced through the chaos domain that covered the black wings. The black wings trembled as if they were about to be pierced open. Buzz! Lu Ming retreated at top speed and was shocked to find that there was indeed a small pit on the black wings. It sank in and the black wings were injured. Even a holy weapon could be destroyed. One could see how amazing the opponent's attack was. Yes, this is the feeling. Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead, he was elated. This was the feeling he wanted. The feeling of being in danger. Buzz! At this moment, the second man in black also launched a terrifying attack at him. Then, the first man in black continued to charge at Lu Ming. Dragon roars were heard as the black dragon spear in Lu Ming's hand danced and swept in all directions as he fought with the two men in black. Facing the two men in black, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage. However, Lu Ming did not call Bubbles for help, nor did he call for backup. He did not even cast the Chaos Sky-turning seal. This was because Lu Ming wanted to stimulate his potential when he was in danger. If he called out Bubbles or the second body to help, how could he force himself to stimulate his potential? In the end, Lu Ming simply kept his black wings and fought with his opponent with his black dragon spear alone. 1000-kill sword technique, 1000-mile space. 1000-kill sword technique, 1000-mile space. At this moment, the two men in black used their most powerful killing moves at the same time. The sword chi that filled the sky turned into two terrifying sword lights. One of them attacked Lu Ming from the front, while the other attacked Lu Ming from the back. This was a killing move, an extremely terrifying killing move. At this moment, Lu Ming's heart turned cold. He felt a terrible crisis engulfing him. At this moment, he even wanted to call for Bubbles or his clone to help. However, he quickly rejected this idea. He had to rely on himself to avoid this killing move. At this moment, Lu Ming's essence, energy, and spirit were highly concentrated. His pupils were about to contract into a dot. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming's mind seemed to be roaring and exploding. His spirit seemed to have merged with the world. At that moment, everything in the world seemed to slow down. He saw the fatal sword attacks of the two assassins from 1000 Kills Manor approaching him. Buzz! At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and his figure disappeared from where he was. The sword lights of the two assassins collided with each other. With a terrifying boom, the two assassins' bodies trembled and they retreated. Blood seeped out of the corners of their mouths. They found it hard to believe that Lu Ming was able to escape from their killing moves. Life and Death Ethereal Realm. This is the Life and Death Ethereal Realm. Kill. Lu Ming muttered and then shouted loudly. His chaos domain burst out and Lu Ming charged towards the other party. The Life and Death Realm was a mysterious realm. Some warriors, in the face of death, would enter a realm due to their high concentration. This realm was called the Life and Death Realm. This realm was like enlightenment. A warrior's spirit would be one with heaven and earth, and his understanding of the great Tao of heaven and earth would be greatly improved. At this moment, Lu Ming's understanding of the chaos realm seemed to have skyrocketed. Boom, boom. The black dragon spear in Lu Ming's hands transformed into two dazzling spear lights. The surface of the spear lights was covered with the chaos domain that was as heavy as a mountain. The spear lights stabbed the two assassins' long swords. The two assassins' bodies trembled and they flew backward. Lu Ming opened his eyes, his gaze extremely bright. 8th grade domain. Lu Ming muttered and was a little shocked. At that moment, he had entered the realm of life and death. His chaotic domain had broken through and entered level 8. The effect of the life and death ethereal realm was truly shocking. No wonder so many geniuses entered the 100-clan battlefield to find someone to fight. Walking on the edge of life and death, one's progress was indeed very great. It was a pity that the state of life and death could not be maintained for long. After a few breaths, he would be out of that state. Otherwise, how much would his realm increase? You've broken through? The eyes of the two assassins from Thousand Kills Mansion were filled with strong killing intent. They wanted to kill Lu Ming, but they did not expect that Lu Ming's potential would be stimulated under their joint attack and he would actually break through. So what if you've broken through? You'll still die. Kill. One of the assassins shouted coldly, his killing intent as sharp as a knife. It's time to end this battle. Lu Ming said coldly. His glabella glowed and Ming Lian stepped out. The Tai Chi formation disc was suspended above his head. Two people, no, one person. The two assassins' eyes narrowed. Buzz. The Tai Chi formation plate glowed, and a Tai Chi pattern emerged, suppressing one of the assassins. Lu Ming took the lead and charged at another assassin. In Lu Ming's hand, a chaos sky-turning seal appeared and was rapidly growing. In the end, the primal chaos sky-turning seal turned into the size of a small mountain and pressed down on the assassin. The terrifying aura completely locked onto the other party. Thousand Kill Sword Technique, 1,000-mile space. The assassin roared and displayed his unique skill. He displayed a brilliant sword in an attempt to break the chaos sky-turning seal. However, when his sword light slashed at the chaos sky-turning seal, his sword light immediately shattered. His body retreated frantically as he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Retreat! The man roared as he frantically retreated. Lu Ming's combat strength was terrifyingly powerful. He had not used his full strength just now, but now that he had used his full strength, the power was shocking. Retreat? Where can you retreat to? Lu Ming said coldly. Buzz. A huge chaos sky-turning seal formed above the black-clothed assassin's head. It emitted a vast and terrifying might, and its power was even stronger than the chaos sky-turning seal from before. After such a long time, Lu Ming had already cultivated the chaos sky-turning seal to the peak of the 4th level, close to the 5th level. Now that the chaos domain had reached level 8, the power of the chaos sky-turning seal had become even more terrifying. Chapter 1605 Cultivating the 10,000 Soldiers Art Boom. The chaos sky-turning seal, which was like a mountain peak, pressed down on the other party. No! The assassin in black roared and tried his best to resist, but it was useless. Under the pressure of the giant seal, the assassin's body cracked and his soul was destroyed. The other assassin's expression changed drastically. He wanted to escape, but he couldn't. The Tai Chi formation disc was a treasure on the same level as monarch weapons. It contained a terrifying heaven and earth formation that could be used to refine the second body. The longer he used it, the more he studied it, and the more power he could unleash. The assassin in black couldn't even protect himself in the Tai Chi formation disc. He was already injured, so how could he break out? After Lu Ming killed one of the assassins in black, he walked toward the remaining assassin. Boom! With the primal chaos sky-turning seal launched, the result was already without suspense. My 1,000 Kills Mansion will never let you go. Before the assassin died, he let out an unwilling roar. Then, under the chaos sky-turning seal, his body and soul were destroyed. With a wave of his hand, the two assassins' storage rings were caught in Lu Ming's hands. Now that my chaos domain has broken through to level 8, I can find a place to cultivate and raise my cultivation to the LV8 Martial Emperor realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. With a flick of his fingers, 2 balls of flames flew out and burned the 2 assassins' corpses into ashes. Then he spread his black wings and rushed out of the crack. After flying for a while, Lu Ming rushed into a huge mountain and entered the mountain and river diagram. He took out a large pile of raw gemstones and started to devour and refine them to improve his cultivation. After a few days, Lu Ming's cultivation had successfully broken through and entered the early stage of the LV8 Martial Royal Realm. Let's see if there's anything good in these guys' storage rings. Lu Ming took out a few storage rings. Some belonged to the young man in purple from the Wan family, and some belonged to the assassins from the Thousand Kill Mansion. Lu Ming first looked at the storage ring of the assassin from the Thousand Kills Mansion. There are so many treasures. It's a pity that I don't have the cultivation method of the Thousand Kill Mansion. After Lu Ming counted the items, He was a little excited but also a little regretful. There were too many treasures in the storage rings of the assassins from the Thousand Kill Mansion. There were more than 15 saint weapons in the storage rings of the two half-saint assassins. It was even more than the holy weapons that Lu Ming and the others had obtained from the Dragon Palace's treasury. However, thinking about it, it was normal. These two assassins from the Thousand Kill Mansion had killed countless geniuses in the 100-clan battlefield. Generally, those who entered the 100-clan battlefield were geniuses from various emperor-ranked forces. Each of them had more or less a saint weapon. It was not surprising that the two assassins had so many saint weapons in their storage rings. However, Lu Ming was very interested in the cultivation method of the Thousand Kill Mansion. That kind of assassination technique was extremely shocking. It could kill people in an instant and was impossible to guard against. It was a pity that he did not see it. Then, Lu Ming took out the storage ring of the young man in purple from the Wan family. The young man in purple from the Wan family also had two holy weapons in his storage ring. Of course, what attracted Lu Ming the most was a box with a jade tablet inside. The 10,000 Soldiers Art. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The WN family's cultivation method was even more wondrous. They could actually seal spirit weapons and saint weapons within their bodies. The chi of the weapons and battle weapons would combine to form a terrifying power. This had left a deep impression on him. Lu Ming immediately started to watch it seriously. Amazing, amazing, truly amazing. After a while, Lu Ming finished reading and sighed. The WN family's 10,000 soldier art was indeed wonderful. One could seal a spirit weapon or a saint weapon into one's acupuncture point. With the weapon in the acupuncture point, the battle weapon chi would connect with each other, and terrifying power could be unleashed. Furthermore, with every additional weapon that was sealed in, the power would increase with it, and it would never end. There were 360 major acupuncture points and countless minor acupuncture points on the human body. If he sealed all of them into a weapon, how terrifying would the power be? The higher the level of the sealed weapon, the more powerful it would be. Of course, sealing a weapon into the acupoint required a strong body. The stronger the spirit body and the higher the cultivation, the more saint weapons would be sealed and the higher the level. The two young men in purple from the Wan family could only seal Emperor's spiritual weapons in it. One of them had sealed 18 Emperor's spiritual weapons. It was obvious that the young man's body was not strong enough. If he tried to seal the holy weapon by force, the power of the holy weapon would probably burst his body. However, just sealing 18 Emperor's spiritual weapons was already extremely terrifying. Even Yun Shi wasn't his match with her saint weapon. As for the noble young man, he was even more terrifying. He had sealed 12 holy weapons, and no one knew if he had more. However, the noble young man had the heavenly spirit body and his cultivation had reached the second stage of the half-saint realm. It was not surprising that he could seal 12 saint weapons. Furthermore, there was an extremely harsh condition for practicing the 10,000 soldiers scroll. One had to practice the 10,000 soldiers domain before they could practice the 10,000 soldiers scroll. The 10,000 soldier realm was a terrifying realm that could transform one's realm into different weapon realms, such as a sword realm, a blade realm, a spear realm, and so on. Otherwise, he would not have been able to fuse so many different weapons into it. If one didn't cultivate the 10,000 soldiers territory, they wouldn't be able to cultivate the 10,000 soldiers manual. No wonder the Wan family was so assured to carry the 10,000 soldier scroll with them, because even if other people went, they couldn't cultivate it. However, Lu Ming's face revealed a smile. 10,000 soldier domain? Lu Ming cultivated the chaos realm. Other than a few top-notch realms, Lu Ming could transform any realm in the world, let alone the various weapon realms. Naturally, he could convert various tool domains. This 10,000 soldiers art was simply too suitable for Lu Ming. Lu Ming immediately started to study it in detail. If he cultivated the 10,000 soldiers scroll, he would have one more cultivation technique. 2 days later, Lu Ming was done with his comprehension. The black dragon spear appeared in his hands. Lu Ming was about to start sealing the holy weapon into his acupuncture points. Now, Lu Ming's spiritual body was a heavenly spiritual body. There was a trace of chaotic qi in his spiritual body, which was stronger than a heavenly spiritual body of the same level. He was confident that it would not be a problem to fuse it with a holy weapon. Acupoint, open. Lu Ming immediately activated the 10,000 soldiers art. On his right palm, there was a spot of light that was shining brightly. It was a major acupuncture point on his right palm. The human body had 360 major acupuncture points all over the body. Seal. Then, Lu Ming let out a soft cry. The black dragon spear quickly shrunk and entered the acupuncture point on Lu Ming's palm. Instantly, Lu Ming felt a powerful combat weapon qi wildly attacking his acupuncture point, causing him to feel a sharp pain. If one's physical body wasn't strong enough and their cultivation wasn't profound enough, their physical body would be torn apart by the combat weapon qi. However, Lu Ming had the heaven spiritual body and his physical body was extremely strong. Although he felt some pain, he suppressed it immediately. After a while, the black dragon spear quieted down and floated quietly in the acupoint. Lu Ming's mind sank into it and realized that the acupoint on his palm was like a world of its own. The black dragon spear was suspended quietly in it. With a single thought, the black dragon spear would appear in Lu Ming's palm. Chapter 1606, 1606 Chapter 1606 Azura Arena. After successfully sealing a holy weapon, Lu Ming's confidence was greatly boosted. Then the black wings flew out. Lu Ming circulated the 10,000 soldiers art, and a light spot lit up on his spine. Lu Ming sealed the black wings into this acupoint. After sealing the two saint weapons, the two acupoints seemed to be connected through meridians. A wisp of battle weapon qi flowed through the meridians and gathered. Then, Lu Ming took out a combat sword. This combat sword was also a holy weapon. He sealed it in the acupoint of his left palm. The three acupoints were connected through the meridians. Then, Lu Ming began to seal the fourth holy weapon. As more and more holy weapons were sealed, the battle weapon qi grew stronger and stronger. The pressure on Lu Ming's acupoints also grew stronger. With every holy weapon sealed, Lu Ming's acupoints felt like they were about to be torn apart. It was extremely painful. However, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and endured all of them. In the end, Lu Ming sealed 10 holy weapons in one go. The 10 holy weapons were sealed in 10 acupoints, connecting with each other through the meridians. The battle weapon qi was extremely strong. He had finally reached his limit. Lu Ming felt that if he continued to seal, his body would not be able to withstand it and would be torn apart by the combat weapon qi. If he wanted to seal more holy weapons, he would have to wait for his cultivation to increase or for his spirit body to evolve again. Buzz! Lu Ming soared into the sky. With a single thought, 10 light spots lit up on his body. 10 holy weapons appeared and floated around him. Lu Ming held the black dragon spear and thrust it out. A terrifying spear light pierced thousands of miles away before it disappeared. The power is really shocking. This 10,000 weapon scroll is called 10,000 weapons. If it can really seal 10,000 saint weapons, its power will probably be earth-shattering, and even stronger saint weapons, such as great saint weapons, extreme saint weapons, and even sovereign weapons. How terrifying will that be? Lu Ming's face was filled with surprise. The 10,000 soldier scroll was a secret skill, a terrifying secret skill. If he cultivated the 10,000 soldier domain to the 10,000 soldier law, this secret skill would turn into a terrifying divine power. With another thought, the 10 saint weapons flew back into his body and disappeared. The 1,000-kill mansion has left a slaughter mark on my main body. If they can find me based on the mark, they'll let my second body move around outside and find a city. My main body will refine the demon-killing crystals in the mountain and river diagram and improve its soul strength. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. His main body was in the mountain and river diagram, and he didn't believe that the other party could still sense the slaughter mark. With this in mind, he left the mountain and river diagram, and then the mountain, heading toward the depths of the 100-clan battlefield. As for Lu Ming, He took out a demonic evil crystal at LV6 Martial Royal Realm from the mountain and river diagram and started refining it. After the energy of the demonic fiend crystal surged into his body, it would turn into a ball of demonic chi and surge into his dantian, enveloping his spiritual god. Lu Ming felt a numbing itch in his soul and a tearing pain. This was the energy of the demonic fiend crystal, which was tempering the soul and making it stronger and stronger. A few hours later, a LV6 Martial Royal Realm demonic fiend crystal was completely refined. Lu Ming's soul had improved a little. Although it was only a little, it was already many times faster than when Lu Ming cultivated the divine sword technique to increase his soul force. Then, Lu Ming took out another demonic evil crystal at LV6 Martial Royal Realm and continued to refine it. The second body concealed its aura and entered deep into the 100-clan battlefield. Along the way, he saw many battles between heaven's favorites. Each time, both sides would be heavily injured or one of them would die. However, Lu Ming had no intention of fighting them now. When he saw these paragons, he would take a long detour. He planned to find a city first before making any plans. Sure enough, after the main body stayed in the mountain and river diagram, the assassins from the 1,000-kill mansion never came again. After a few days, a huge city appeared in front of them. The city was huge and magnificent. The city walls were hundreds of meters high and the city gate was heavily guarded. These people were all native and had grown up in the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming stepped into the city and realized that it was very lively. People came and went, and there were many shops. On the streets, he could see young experts with strong auras. Lu Ming glanced around and found that most of them were at the 8th or 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm. Sometimes, he could even see the existence of the Half-Saint Realm. Most of these youths were like Lu Ming. They had been trained in the 100-clan battlefield. However, these people would enter the city once in a while to rest and reorganize. After all, there were local saints in the city. They were not allowed to kill in the city, so they could relax and adjust their conditions. There was also a special market in the city where many elites would exchange for treasures. The 100-clan battlefield was filled with danger but also with opportunities. Countless treasures had been left behind from the ancient war. Some people had taken the risk and obtained some treasures. Lu Ming walked around and found an inn. He booked a room. After entering the room, the second body sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. In the next few days, Lu Ming's main body was refining the demonic fiend crystals in the mountain and river diagram. His soul was getting stronger and stronger. Now, his soul force had completely reached the first stage of the Half-Saint Realm and was close to the second stage. However, it was not enough. Lu Ming was still refining the demonic fiend crystals. 10 days after Lu Ming entered the city, his soul power finally made another breakthrough and reached the second stage of the half-lifetime. With his soul power at this level, Lu Ming could use the divine sword technique to shake the soul of a second-stage half-saint expert. He would be greatly affected. Lu Ming only stopped cultivating the demonic fiend crystals for the time being. Let's go to the Azura stage. With a thought, his secondary body entered the mountain and river diagram, while his main body exited the mountain and river diagram. During this period of time, the second body would occasionally go out to inquire about news and had learned a lot of information about the city. The Azura Arena was a battle platform. It was the only place in the city where one could fight. Many Heaven's favorites from the outside world would go up to the Azura stage to find opponents and engage in a life-and-death battle. They would walk on the edge of life and death to stimulate their potential and make a leap. Lu Ming also wanted to stay in the Azura Arena and find opponents to fight against. He wanted to temper himself and improve his cultivation. Not long after, a building appeared in front of Lu Ming. The building was not big. Lu Ming walked in and realized that there was a fighting ring in the building. There were no seats around the fighting ring. Some young people were standing around and watching. There were about a few hundred people. On the fighting ring, there were two young men engaged in an intense battle. The two young men were both at the peak LV8 Martial Royal Realm. They both had superior Earth spiritual bodies, and their combat strength was not very different. They fought fiercely for hundreds of moves, and it was difficult to determine the winner. Pooh, pooh. The two of them stood on both sides of the fighting ring with many wounds on their bodies. Both of them were injured. However, the two of them did not step down from the fighting ring. There was a light screen covering the fighting ring, making it difficult for them to get down. Lu Ming had already known that the fighting stage was called the Azura Arena. Once one stepped into it, a light screen would rise around the fighting stage and cover it. Then there were only two paths. One was to kill the opponent and end the battle. The second was to hold on for half an hour. Only after half an hour would the light screen disappear and he could leave the fighting ring. One couldn't admit defeat on the Azura Arena. Therefore, once one set foot on the Azura Arena and encountered an opponent whose strength was much higher than one's own, only death awaited them. Therefore, many people would choose opponents of similar cultivation or slightly higher cultivation to fight to the death to temper themselves. Chapter 1607. 1607 Don't come to your death if you're below the half-saint realm in the fighting ring. The two young men were evenly matched. Neither of them could do anything to the other, so they could only wait. After a while, the light screen around the fighting ring disappeared. The two young men jumped down from the fighting ring and disappeared. Buzz. A young man in a red robe jumped onto the fighting ring. He did not hide his aura at all. Middle LV9 Martial Royal Realm. Who wants to fight me? The red-robed young man said as he looked around. I'll do it. A voice was heard as a young man leaped onto the fighting ring. The man's aura was at the early stage of the LV9 Martial Royal Realm. On the Azura Arena, those with cultivation much higher than their opponents wouldn't challenge them, because there was no meaning in tempering themselves. These people came here to find the strong and train themselves. What's the point of challenging a weakling? Unless they had enmity with each other, they could go up and kill the enemy. You're not my match at the early stage of LV9 Martial Royal Realm. The red-robed youth said coldly. Not necessarily. The young man at the early LV9 Martial Royal Realm had a strong desire to fight in his eyes. Buzz. At this moment, the light screen on the fighting ring rose again. Kill. The young man at the early LV9 Martial Royal Realm took the lead in attacking. A long spear appeared in his hand, and he thrust it at the red-robed young man like lightning. Boom! A fire domain spread out from the red-robed young man's body, enveloping his opponent. At the same time, he pounced at his opponent with a flaming saber in his hand, slashing at his opponent. Boom! Boom! With two fierce collisions, the early LV9 Martial Royal Realm youth was forced to retreat with a trace of shock in his eyes. He was actually at a complete disadvantage. Die! The red-robed young man charged forward with his flaming saber, launching a storm of attacks. The young man at the early stage of LV9 Martial Royal Realm roared and exerted all his strength to fight the red-robed young man. The red-robed young man's combat strength had exceeded his expectations. He was much stronger than him. He had to give it his all. This battle was also an opportunity for him. If he could survive the red-robed young man's attack for half an hour, he would definitely gain a lot. Unfortunately, the red-robed young man was much stronger than him. In just a dozen moves, the flaming saber crushed down and cut the early LV9 Martial Royal Realm young man in half. The terrifying flames turned his body into ashes. A powerful heaven's favorite had been killed just like that. As long as one person was killed, the light screen at the edge of the fighting ring would be retracted. Without a doubt, these heaven's favorites were all upper-class Earth spiritual bodies. The weaker ones, unless their cultivation was very high, would only be courting death in the 100-clan battlefield. Unfortunately, even among the superior Earth spiritual bodies, there were strong and weak ones. The red-robed young man's combat power was very strong. The red-robed youth took the storage ring and said coldly, "You want to use me as your whetstone? You're looking for death." The 100-clan battlefield and the Azura Arena were cruel like this. If one wanted to use the other party as a whetstone to train themselves, it was very likely that they would lose their lives. Who else wants to come up for a fight? Anyone in the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm is fine. The red-robed young man spoke again, his eyes filled with a strong desire to fight. Obviously, the red-robed youth was very confident in himself. He also wanted to find experts to train himself. "I'll fight you." A bald young man leaped onto the fighting ring, his aura spreading out. His cultivation was slightly higher than the red-robed young man's. Battle. Without any unnecessary words, the two of them started fighting. On the fighting ring, the confrontation was extremely intense. The two of them were fighting with all their might, forcing themselves to the extreme. Below the battle stage, many young people were watching seriously. Watching other people's battles would sometimes give him inspiration. The battle between the two was very intense and lasted for 100 moves. In the end, the red-robed young man was stronger and killed his opponent with one strike while he was severely injured. The red-robed young man seemed to have gained something from the life-and-death battle. He left the fighting ring and disappeared, probably to find a place to cultivate in seclusion. Following that, a few more life-and-death battles took place. Some were killed, and some were mutually wounded. Only in such an environment can I really improve quickly, Lu Ming muttered to himself. Then, he took a step forward and appeared on the fighting ring. "Who wants to fight me?" Lu Ming scanned his surroundings and added, "It's best if it's a half-saint. Those below the half-saint realm don't need to come and die." His words silenced the crowd, followed by a burst of discussion. "This man is so arrogant. He's only at the early stage of the LV8 Martial Emperor realm, yet he wants to challenge a half-saint. He even said that anyone below the half-saint realm would die. He's too arrogant. I'll go and meet him." A young man rushed into the fighting ring. His aura was at the peak of LV8 Martial Royal Realm. Peak LV8 Martial Royal Realm. Why do you have to come here and court death? Lu Ming shook his head slightly, feeling a little disappointed. "Arrogant. Let's see how you're going to kill me." The young man shouted coldly and stepped forward. His hand was like an eagle's claw, and he clawed at Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming threw a punch and the terrifying fist force crushed the opponent's claw. The fist force did not stop and bombarded the opponent's dantian. The fist force penetrated the opponent's dantian. One punch killed. Lu Ming did not show any mercy. There was no such thing as mercy on the Azura stage. Anyone who stepped onto the Azura stage had to be prepared to be killed. Moreover, Lu Ming had already reminded him. "I've said it before. Those below the half-saint realm don't need to come here to die," Lu Ming said indifferently. Below the fighting ring, the other young men's eyes narrowed. A young man at the LV8 Martial Royal Realm was able to kill a person at the peak of the LV8 Martial Royal Realm with one punch. His combat strength was absolutely amazing. This person's combat strength is indeed shocking. He'll be a perfect whetstone for me. A strong young man with strong fighting intent in his eyes rushed up to the fighting ring. His terrifying aura spread out. He was at the peak of LV9 Martial Royal Realm. "It's him, Kwang Kong." Kwang Kong's cultivation is at the peak of the 9th level Martial Royal Realm, but his combat strength is extremely terrifying. He has killed several geniuses at the peak of the 9th level Martial Royal Realm in a row. Once, he challenged a first-stage half-saint. Although he was no match for the half-saint, he survived half an hour of the half-saint's attack. He's been looking for a strong opponent to challenge recently. He wants to break through his limits, comprehend the ultimate domain, and step into the half-saint realm. The vigorous young man went on stage and caused a wave of discussion. However, Lu Ming still shook his head and said, "Another one who's going to die, why bother?" Lu Ming was speaking from the bottom of his heart. He came here to find strong people to train himself. If the weak ones were of no use to him, what was the point? However, his words sounded arrogant to the others. "LV8 Martial Royal Realm. You're talking big." Kwang Kong's figure was like a hurricane as he charged towards Lu Ming. Chapter 1608, 1608 Chapter 1608 Continuous Challenges. Kwang Kong's weapon was also a long spear. It was a holy weapon. As the long spear swept out, the attack swept toward Lu Ming like a storm. Boom! Lu Ming made his move. His attack was still very simple. With the primal chaos domain and the prison suppression heavenly art, Kwang Kong's attack crumbled in an instant. The fist momentum didn't stop as it struck towards Kwang Kong. Kwang Kong's expression changed drastically. The power of Lu Ming's punch was too terrifying. It had far exceeded his expectations. "Block it!" he roared as a green shield appeared. It was a saint weapon. At the same time, a gust of wind blew around him, forming several shields around him. Boom! Lu Ming's punch landed on the saint weapon shield, producing a terrifying boom. The saint weapon shield was sent flying and crashed into Kwang Kong. Kwang Kong groaned and was sent flying. He crashed heavily into the light screen at the edge of the fighting ring. The light screen trembled and blocked his body. Kwang Kong slid down the light screen and spat out a mouthful of blood. "How is that possible?" Kwang Kong shouted in disbelief. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. Even with his cultivation, he could not withstand a single blow. Moreover, his defense had once blocked the continuous attacks of a first-stage half-saint. Now, he was seriously injured by Lu Ming's punch. Below the fighting ring, the others were also shocked. "Kill!" Lu Ming said coldly. He stepped forward and closed in on Kwang Kong. "Block it, I'm going to block it." Kwang Kong roared and waved his hands. Two more shields appeared. They were both holy weapons. The three holy weapon shields stacked together and floated in front of him. At the same time, a suit of armor appeared on his body. It was also a holy weapon. With so many defensive saint weapons, it was no wonder that they could block the continuous attacks of a half-saint. As his genuine vitality constantly poured into the Luyuan gloves, the Luyuan gloves became heavier and heavier. Boom! He threw another punch at Kwang Kong's shield. Kwang Kong's entire body was like a sandbag as he was sent flying. He crashed into the light screen, causing it to shake violently. Kwang Kong spat out a large mouthful of blood, and who knew how many bones in his body were broken? How can this person's strength be so terrifying? Mad Kong was in despair. Lu Ming's strength had far surpassed that of the half-saint he had met before. How could a person at the 8th level of the Martial Emperor realm have such shocking strength? Of course, he did not know that when Lu Ming was at the peak of the 7th-tier Martial Royal realm, he could already fight head-on with the half-saint of the 1,000-kill mansion. Now that he had broken through to the 8th tier, his power was naturally stronger. "Kill!" The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands. He thrust the spear forward and the accumulated power of 13 strikes burst out. The 13 streams of power exploded, penetrating through Kwang Kong's layers of defense and hitting his opponent's body. Kwang Kong cried out in pain as his body was sent flying. This time, he didn't get up. Even with the protection of the holy weapon, his life was gone. Lu Ming waved his hand and put away Kwang Kong's holy weapon and storage ring. Who else wants to fight? It better be a half-saint. Lu Ming looked around and repeated himself. What powerful strength! This person's strength is even stronger than a first-stage half-saint. It's unbelievable. The LV-8 Martial Royal Realm martial artist has such terrifying power. He must have a heavenly spiritual body. Even the heavenly spiritual body isn't this terrifying. Below the fighting ring, many people were discussing, but for a moment, no one went up. Some people's eyes flickered, as if they were measuring their own strength. Lu Ming was able to destroy the Gale with a few moves. His strength had already surpassed many first-stage half-saints. Some of the first-stage half-saints were also measuring their combat strength to see if they could fight Lu Ming. "I'll do it." A moment later, a young man in a green robe stepped onto the fighting ring. "It's him, Lei Xiong." Many people's eyes moved when they saw this young man. It said that Lei Xiong is about to break through the second stage of the half-saint realm and comprehend the laws of nature. He's on the stage. This battle is going to be interesting. On the fighting ring, a smile finally appeared on Lu Ming's face. Finally, a decent one had come. "Kill!" Lei Xiong made his move immediately. His entire body was covered in lightning. The terrifying lightning condensed into a lightning seal and charged towards Lu Ming. Boom! The black dragon spear in Lu Ming's hand shot up and swept across the thunder seal. The thunder seal exploded with a loud boom and the entire fighting ring was filled with the power of the thunder cauldron. But then, a huge lightning cauldron came crashing down on Lu Ming. Good! Lu Ming shouted, and the black dragon spear was blasted out again. Lei Xiong had mastered the ultimate lightning domain and cultivated a terrifying domain martial technique. The power of lightning could turn into all kinds of terrifying attacks with shocking power. Lu Ming did not use the divine sword technique or the chaos sky-turning seal. He only used ordinary combat techniques to fight with his opponent. For a moment, the two of them were in an intense battle, and it was difficult to determine the winner. This battle lasted for half an hour. It only ended when the light screen disappeared. And NBSP hoo-hoo. Lei Xiong gasped for breath. He had exhausted his essential core, and if this continued, he would not be able to hold on. On the other hand, Lu Ming was still calm and composed. Monster! Lei Xiong mumbled, turned around and left the fighting ring. Unfortunately, it's still lacking a little. I don't have that sense of danger. Lu Ming muttered. After the battle with Lei Xiong, Lu Ming felt rather carefree. He felt that his comprehension of the Chaos Realm was somewhat inspired. However, he did not feel a sense of danger, and the effect was still a little lacking. Are there any people at the second stage of the Half-Saint Realm? Come up and fight. Lu Ming spoke again, his voice spreading throughout the entire venue. Many people below the fighting ring looked at each other. Lu Ming actually wanted to challenge a half-saint in the second stage. He was really abnormal. An 8th-level martial royal realm expert challenging a second-stage half-saint, even if they were all from emperor-level forces, was still dumbfounded. The half-saints here were not ordinary half-saints outside. They were all genius half-saints. This is really interesting. I can't believe such a heaven's favorite appeared. If I can kill such a heaven's favorite, it would be interesting. A cold voice was heard as a pale-faced young man stepped onto the fighting ring. Bang! Then, the person took a step forward and a terrifying force surged toward Lu Ming. The power of law! Lu Ming's pupils constricted. Then, he revealed a look of excitement. He was a genuine second-stage half-saint. 13 charged attacks. The black dragon spear flickered and stabbed forward. Boom! It was as if the black dragon spear had stabbed into a mountain of steel. A terrifying force gushed forth, bending the black dragon spear. Lu Ming's body was forced to retreat a dozen steps before he could stabilize himself. The power of law, what a powerful might! Lu Ming sighed in his heart, but his eyes were even more excited, revealing a strong desire to fight. Pressure. He could feel an intense pressure on his body. He needed this kind of pressure to force himself to keep moving forward. Chapter 1609, 1609 Chapter 1609 Improving Under Pressure. Bang! The pale-faced young man stepped forward, and his aura skyrocketed. A blood-red light appeared between the sky and the earth and surrounded his body. Blood God cut. The blood-red light was like a divine knife, slashing toward Lu Ming. The blood-red light gave Lu Ming a strong sense of danger. A dragon's roar came from within Lu Ming's body. Above his head, the shadow of 9 dragons could be vaguely seen, dancing in the sky. Heaven and earth phenomenon. Lu Ming activated the dragon god combat body to its maximum and caused a phenomenon. Following that, Lu Ming stomped on the ground heavily. His entire body twisted like a huge dragon, then he drove the long spear and stabbed forward. Clang! The black dragon spear collided with the blood-red light. A terrifying force seemed to penetrate the black dragon spear and split Lu Ming in half. Lu Ming's body trembled and he retreated continuously. The second stage of the half-saint realm is indeed much stronger than the first stage. The power of the laws is invincible and can break anything. Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The pale-faced young man's realm was the same as the noble young man from the Wan family, but his combat strength was far inferior to the noble young man's. The noble young man from the Wan family had the heavenly spiritual body. However, even though he was far inferior to the distinguished young man of the Wan family, his combat strength was still extremely powerful. After all, he could control the power of laws. The laws were the foundation of this world. You're not bad to be able to take 2 of my moves, but that's all. the pale-faced young man said coldly. He controlled the power of law and continued to charge at Lu Ming. Is that so? The fighting spirit in Lu Ming's eyes grew stronger and stronger. There was no fear in him at all. Light spots lit up on his body, and holy weapons flew out from within, floating around him. There were a total of 10 holy weapons, and the chi of combat weapons converged, making Lu Ming's aura even more powerful. 10,000 soldier art, you are a member of the Wan family. The pale-faced young man's eyes narrowed. Lu Ming smiled and declined to comment. It seems like another genius has appeared in the Wan family. It's time to behead him. The pale-faced young man strode forward and slashed at Lu Ming with a blood-red light. Buzz! The black dragon's spear trembled like a dragon's roar as it thrust forward. At the same time, Lu Ming's left hand grabbed a holy weapon sword and slashed down. Boom! Boom! This time, after 2 loud bangs, Lu Ming still retreated. However, he took a few steps back this time. Kill, kill, kill! The pale-faced young man shouted as the blood-red light continued to slash at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He rushed forward, 2 rays of black light shooting out from his eyes. The pale-faced young man's body trembled as he used the divine sword technique. A trace of pain flashed in his eyes. However, he endured it and continued to attack Lu Ming with the power of law. However, Lu Ming's current soul force was no longer weaker than that of a second-stage half-saint. When he used the divine sword technique, his opponent's soul was also affected and his strength was weakened. Boom! Boom! The 2 of them clashed again, and at the moment of collision, they exchanged several moves. This time, Lu Ming still retreated but only by a few steps. He could barely resist the other party's attack. Psst, psst. Below the fighting ring, the others gasped. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. He was only at the 8th level of the martial royal realm, but he could fight against a second-stage half-saint. A peerless monster. Someone sighed. Such combat strength, I'm afraid that even the strongest geniuses of ordinary emperor-ranked powers don't have such combat strength. Only those terrifying and ancient powers can have such geniuses. That's right. The WN family actually produced such a genius. Many geniuses sighed and discussed. On the fighting ring, the battle continued. Lu Ming combined his divine sword technique and finally managed to fight with his opponent. Not long after, the 2 of them had fought for dozens of rounds. Satisfying, satisfying. Lu Ming let out a long roar. The 9 dragons also let out long roars in the celestial phenomenon. Apart from the chaos sky-turning seal, Lu Ming did not hold back in his battle. His essential core whistled and his territory was cast to the extreme. The battle between the 2 of them was intense. The terrifying chi was wantonly bombarding the light curtain at the edge of the fighting stage, causing it to shake violently. You actually used me as a whetstone. The pale-faced young man's eyes were cold. He understood that Lu Ming was using him as a whetstone to improve himself. However, on the other hand, he was forced to this stage by Lu Ming, a LV8 martial emperor. The pressure he was under was also very great, and it could also force him to improve. The battle continued without stopping. Although the pale-faced young man's combat power was obviously stronger, Lu Li had many tricks up his sleeve. The divine sword technique was enough to threaten the other party. Moreover, the dragon god combat body was a heavenly spiritual body, so his vitality was extremely vigorous and his endurance was also extremely strong. It was as if he would never be tired. It would be difficult for the other party to kill Lu Ming. This battle had already gone on for who knew how many moves. After half an hour, the light screen at the edge of the fighting ring disappeared. Boom! The 2 of them exchanged a final blow and retreated at the same time, standing on both sides of the fighting ring. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. After such a long battle, he was still injured by the power of the law. However, the other party was also panting like an ox, and had consumed a lot of energy. Let's fight again next time. The pale-faced young man left with these words and strode away. I'll wait for your battle. Let's go, Lu Ming said. He then jumped off the fighting ring and left. Soon, he returned to the inn and entered the mountain and river diagram. Under the path understanding ancient tree, Lu Ming sat cross-legged with the heavenly Dao stone suspended in the air. He was quietly comprehending. In this battle, he had been completely suppressed by the other party and was constantly in a life-and-death situation. His potential had been completely stimulated and he had gained a lot. Unfortunately, he didn't enter the life-and-death ethereal realm. It seemed that it wasn't easy to enter the life-and-death ethereal realm. The last time he was able to enter it, it was completely by chance. 2 days later, Lu Ming ended his cultivation and opened his eyes. As expected, I can only improve quickly in a great battle. Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. In 2 days he had fully recovered from his injuries, and his chaos domain had also improved, approaching the middle stage of level 8. If one were to cultivate step by step, it would be difficult to achieve this effect without months of hard work. Continue. Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and went to the Azura arena once again. As soon as Lu Ming arrived at the Azura stage, many people looked at him with fear in their eyes. Lu Ming had already become a famous person in the Azura arena. You're finally here. Let's continue the battle. The pale-faced young man was also there, glaring at Lu Ming. Just what I wanted. Lu Ming responded. As soon as the battle on the fighting ring ended, Lu Ming and the pale-faced young man leaped onto the fighting ring one after another. Without saying a word, they immediately started fighting. This time, the battle lasted for half an hour before the two of them retreated, panting heavily. This time, Lu Ming did not vomit blood. His injuries were lighter than before. Su ran. The pale-faced young man said. Lu Ming. Lu Ming answered. Well, fight another day. Well, fight another day. The two of them left these words and then left the fighting ring. Chapter 1610 Undying Heavenly Phoenix Body. Over the next 10 days, Lu Ming and Su Ran would engage in a huge battle every 2 days. Each battle lasted for half an hour. This was a life-and-death battle. Lu Ming's improvement was very fast. With every battle, Lu Ming's Chaos Realm was greatly improved. The improvement of the Chaos Realm also improved his cultivation. 10 days later, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the late stage of the 8th level Martial Emperor Realm. He was not far from the peak of the 8th level Martial Emperor Realm. This speed was already very shocking. Lu Ming was not the only one who had improved. Su Ran had also improved. He was more and more skilled in using the power of law. Originally, Su Ran had just entered the 2nd stage of the Half-Saint Realm. Now, he was slowly crossing over to the later stage of the 2nd stage. However, it was obvious that Lu Ming had improved faster. Hence, 10 days later, when Lu Ming fought with Su Ran, although he was still at a disadvantage, it was not so obvious anymore. The two of them had been fighting for days, and there was a feeling of appreciation for each other. Lu Ming, you're too abnormal. If this goes on, it won't be long before I'm no longer your match. Below the Azura arena, the two of them watched the battle on the fighting ring and chatted. It seems that I have to change my opponent. Lu Ming said. What? Su Ran glared at him and said, You really think you can beat me? No, I just feel that if I can't kill you, it will lose the meaning of the life-and-death battle. Lu Ming said. Su Ran was stunned for a moment, but then he nodded. The two of them had been fighting for days, and they felt that their temperaments were somewhat similar. After the battle 2 days ago, the two of them even went to drink to their heart's content. Then they went up to the Azura arena, and really couldn't kill. Boom. Suddenly, a loud boom was heard. The sound did not come from the Azura platform, but from outside. Outside the Azura stage, there was a battle. Many people's expressions changed. In this city, only the Azura arena allowed people to fight. Other places prohibited fighting. Who was so bold to fight in the city? Wasn't he afraid of being killed by a saint? Let's go and take a look. Who is it that dares to fight in the city? Instantly, the paragons below the fighting ring rushed out one after another. Lu Ming and Su Ran exchanged a glance and also rushed out. Boom, boom. As soon as they got outside, they heard a violent roar and everyone looked up at the sky. In the sky, there were two figures engaged in an intense battle. Two rays of light crossed each other, and a terrifying force swept in all directions. In the sky, two phenomena appeared. One was a weapon that was moving freely in the void, while the other was a phoenix that was bathing in tribulation fire. The heaven and earth phenomenon indicated that the two people fighting were both heavenly spiritual bodies. Boom. With another boom, the two figures separated and retreated hundreds of meters back, standing in the air. One of them was a young man in a purple and gold robe. He was surrounded by 12 saint weapons, and the chi of the weapons shot up into the sky. It's him! Lu Ming's gaze flickered. This young man was the distinguished young man from the Wan family. The other one was a peerless beauty with a graceful figure and exquisite curves. Her skin was like jade and could cause the downfall of a city. On her back, a pair of phoenix wings extended, adding to her strange temperament. Undying celestial phoenix. This person's spiritual body should be the undying celestial phoenix body that was condensed from the bloodline of the undying celestial phoenix. Lu Ming's eyes lit up when he saw the woman. The undying celestial phoenix was one of the top 10 battle beasts. It was a unique existence in the Phoenix clan, just like the 9 dragons in the Dragon clan. The undying celestial phoenix was stronger than an ordinary phoenix. After coming to the Yuan continent, this was the first time Lu Ming had met a genius who had awakened the bloodline of one of the top 10 war beasts. Through the surrounding discussions, Lu Ming knew the names of the two people. The young man from the Wan family was named Wan Tiancheng, and the woman who had cultivated the undying heavenly phoenix body was named Huang Ling Buzz. His saint weapon buzzed, and Wan Tiancheng stepped forward. His combat weapon chi was like a rainbow, and his combat sword slashed towards Huang Ling. The cry of a phoenix resounded. Behind Huang Ling, a pair of phoenix wings flapped, forming a sky full of flames and bombarding towards Wan Tiancheng. A terrifying collision erupted, and the sky was filled with the chi of combat weapons and flames. The onlookers were forced to retreat, unable to get close. How terrifying! His combat strength is close to the level of the Saint Realm. They only have low-class heaven spiritual bodies. I really don't know how terrifying those with medium-class or high-class heaven spiritual bodies are. Maybe they can kill saints before they become saints. Wan Tiancheng and Huang Ling's combat strength shocked everyone. No wonder they dared to fight in the city. With such combat strength, even if the saints in the city attacked, the two could probably escape. The battle weapon chi and flames swept across the sky. Wan Tiancheng and Huang Ling kept colliding. The battle was reaching its climax, and no one dared to stop in that area. No, there was one person. A young man in black stood not far away from the battle. He had his arms crossed, and a layer of light emanated from his body, blocking the battle weapon chi and flames that were sweeping in all directions. Who is this person? Many people were shocked. It looks like Sima Liang. It's him. Another heavenly spiritual body. Someone cried out in surprise. They recognized this young man in black, who was also an extremely powerful heaven's favorite. Haha, it's really lively. With a loud laugh, an unusually burly young man stepped through the air. He was 2 heads taller than ordinary people, and his muscles were as firm as iron. He stepped forward in the air. The chi of the soldiers and the flames fell on him, but he seemed to feel nothing. Beast Zhao Kuang. Another heavenly spiritual body. What's going on? Aren't these freaks all in the depths of the 100-clan battlefield? Why have they all come to the outskirts? Could it be that something big is happening in the outer region? Many people were guessing. The depths of the 100-clan battlefield was the heart of the ancient war. There were many opportunities there. Some abnormal geniuses and most half-saints were gathered there. They could only temper themselves in the depths of the 100-clan battlefield. Those on the outskirts were much weaker. These abnormal people rarely came to the periphery of the 100-clan battlefield, but today, 4 abnormal people had appeared all at once. Sima Liang, it's a rare sight. Fight me. Zhao Kuang's eyes were burning with battle intent as he strode towards Sima Liang. Just what I wanted. Sima Liang said coldly. An ancient halberd appeared in his hand, and a terrifying aura emanated from it. Zhao Kuang let out a terrifying roar. He was like an ancient wild beast, wild and violent. He wore a glove on each hand as he punched towards Sima Liang. The heavenly halberd in Sima Liang's hand also came slashing down. Clang! A terrifying tremor burst forth, as if the entire city was shaking violently. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's bodies trembled as they both retreated. Again! Zhao Kuang roared, and the battle intent in his eyes grew even stronger. He once again pounced towards Sima Liang, but Sima Liang was not afraid at all. With the heavenly halberd in his hand, he slashed towards Zhao Kuang. The two of them began an intense battle. Chapter 1611. 1611 The Tomb of the Reincarnation King. Both Sima Liang and Zhao Kuang's attacks were overbearing, brutal, and direct. The two of them kept clashing, and the entire city kept on rumbling. The battle was like a frenzy, and strange phenomena appeared in the sky above the two of them. The root of a spirit body was the bloodline. It was transformed from the bloodline. Therefore, in a sense, the phenomenon of heaven and earth was also a manifestation of the bloodline. Just like Lu Ming's heaven and earth anomaly, which was 9 dragons dancing in the air, the bloodline that he had condensed into a spirit body was the bloodline of the 9 dragons. In the sky, the 4 heavens favorites fought intensely. After more than 100 moves, there was still no clear winner. Later on, Zhao Kuang went crazy and actually pulled Wan Tiancheng and Huang Ling into the battle, turning it into a 4-person battle. This was the 100-clan battlefield. There was no need for a reason to fight, only to temper one's body. The 4 of them fought chaotically, and the scene became even more intense. After another 100 moves, it was still difficult to determine the winner. In the end, the 4 of them split into 4 sides and stopped the battle at the same time. Haha, it's great today, it's great. Let's fight another day. Zhao Kuang laughed in a somewhat sinister manner, then turned around and left. Then, Sima Liang also left. In the end, Wan Tiancheng and Huang Ling looked at each other with a cold glint in their eyes. They then turned around and flew into the city. The peak battle had ended, but the commotion it caused was far from over. Many people were guessing why these geniuses had come. Something big must have happened nearby, or some treasure had appeared. Usually, only the appearance of a treasure would attract these prodigies to the periphery of the 100-clan battlefield. As for Lu Ming, he had already returned to his room in the inn. The combat strength of Wan Tiancheng and the rest was indeed very terrifying, giving Lu Ming a lot of pressure. Just like Su Ran, Wan Tiancheng, Huang Ling, and the others were all second-stage half-saints, but their combat strength was far stronger than Su Ran's. Even if Lu Ming used all his strength now, he would not be a match for them. He had to continue to break through even faster, so that he could compete with these heaven's favorites. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the path understanding ancient tree. With the help of the heavenly Tao stone, he was focused on comprehending the path. During this period of time, he didn't plan to go to the Azura stage to fight. Now that Wan Tiancheng was here, he would definitely know that he used the 10,000 soldier scroll. In the time that followed, Lu Ming's main body was focused on Tao enlightenment, while his secondary body would sometimes go out in disguise to gather information. 3 days later, a piece of news spread throughout the city. According to the news, the reason why Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and the others had come from the depths of the 100-clan battlefield was that there might be a map and key to the tomb of the reincarnation emperor nearby. The news caused an uproar in the city. There had always been a legend in the 100-clan battlefield. It was said that the battle between the 100 ancient races was extremely brutal. Too many experts had died. Countless saints and emperors had died. It was said that after the war ended, some supreme experts entered this place and built a tomb for the 9 fallen emperors, burying them in the tomb. These 9 tombs were known as the 9 Thearchs' tombs by later generations. It was said that there was a great emperor's inheritance in the 9 emperors' tomb. However, for so many years, countless heaven's favorites have entered the 100-clan battlefield in hopes of finding the 9 Thearchs' tomb. However, it was all to no avail. No one knew where the tomb was. For countless years, only one of the 9 emperors' tombs had ever appeared, and it was obtained by a genius. That genius was the 1,000-kill martial emperor. It was said that the 1,000-kill martial emperor had relied on the inheritance of one of the 9 emperors' tombs to cultivate to the level of a martial emperor and create the terrifying 1,000-kill mansion. A monarch's tomb could form a huge power. How tempting was this? Now, it was said that the reincarnation emperor's tomb, one of the 9 emperors' tombs, was about to appear. The map and key of the tomb would appear nearby, which naturally shocked countless people. The facts proved that it was true. After that, Wan Tiancheng, Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and the others sent out their subordinates to search the nearby area. It was said that the light of reincarnation would appear at the place where the key and the map of the tomb of the reincarnation king appeared. It wasn't just the subordinates of the heaven's favorites. Countless heaven's favorites in the city also rushed out to find the key and map to the tomb of the reincarnation king. In the blink of an eye, another dozen days passed. It had been almost 2 months since Lu Ming entered the 100-clan battlefield. His cultivation was improving every day. Now, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 8th level martial royal realm. At this moment, a piece of news spread through the city. Someone had discovered a place that was suspected to be the light of reincarnation. It was in a place further outside the 100-tribe battlefield. Countless people rushed to that place. Lu Ming took the mountain and river diagram and followed the crowd to that place. After crossing a long distance, they came to a land of mountains. Then they found a crack and jumped down. This is the place? Lu Ming revealed a look of surprise. This was the place where Lu Ming had hunted for demonic fiend crystals previously. The map and key to the tomb of the reincarnation king were actually in this place? Surprised, Lu Ming followed the crowd and jumped into the crack. The demonic creatures here actually have demonic evil crystals. It's really demonic evil crystals. I didn't find such a treasure land before. Soon after entering, many people discovered the situation here. The demonic creatures here actually contained demonic evil crystals. Immediately, many people began to glow with blazing light. They were looking for demonic creatures to kill and take the demonic evil crystals. There's really a light there. Lu Ming looked in one direction. There was a strange light emerging in that direction. The light seemed to have 6 different colors that were constantly changing, like the 6 paths of reincarnation. That was the light of reincarnation. I didn't see it here before. Did it just appear recently? Lu Ming was very surprised. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound of something breaking through the air was heard. Lu Ming saw Wan Tiancheng, Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and Sima Liang flying in that direction at the fastest speed. Then, the other heaven's favorites also flew in that direction. Let's go! Lu Ming stepped into the air and followed behind the group. Not long after, they came to a valley. What a coincidence, it's actually here? Lu Ming was even more surprised. This was because this valley was the valley that he had lured Wan Tiancheng to previously. In it, Lu Ming found 10 dragon bones and his dragon god combat body evolved into the heavenly spirit body in one go. The light of reincarnation was actually emitted from the depths of this valley. There really wasn't any when he was here. Roar! In the valley, the demonic creatures roared, and their roars shook the sky. Obviously, many people had entered and alarmed the demons. Oh no, there are so many powerful demons. They are all at the half-saint realm. There are also sage realm demons. Not good, retreat, quickly retreat. The valley was in a mess. Many people rushed out desperately, but there were still screams. Many people were killed by the demonic creatures. No, the demonic creatures in this valley are too strong. We can't rush in at all. Many people sighed. They were extremely unwilling, but there was nothing they could do. Chapter 1612, 1612 The half-saint puppet. The demonic creatures that appeared in the valley were almost all half-saint demonic creatures. There were even a few saint realm demonic creatures. Even a half-saint would be killed, let alone an 8th or 9th level martial royal realm demonic creature. While many people were watching unwillingly, Lu Ming had already quietly rushed into the valley. While no one was paying attention, Lu Ming quietly changed his body. His secondary body entered the mountain and river diagram while his main body stepped out of it. A half-saint demonic creature charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming had a thought. Behind him, the aura of the prison-suppressing steel was released. The demonic creature's eyes showed a trace of fear. It roared and retreated. Lu Ming was unimpeded and he rushed into the ground covered in bones. The light of reincarnation was emitted from the depths. So this isn't the end, there's a deeper place. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The last time, he stopped here and did not go any further. He did not expect that there was another universe in the depths. Roar! In the valley, the demonic creatures roared like thunder, and the holy aura filled the air. A huge demonic bear was chasing after a young man. That young man was Zhao Kuang. Zhao Kuang didn't dare to face the Saint Realm demonic creature head-on. He dodged it with his movement technique and managed to charge into the depths of the valley after paying a price. The demonic bear roared but did not continue to pursue. Lu Ming swept his gaze around but did not see Wan Tiancheng, Huang Ling, and Sima Liang. He assumed that the three of them had also successfully rushed in. With their combat strength, even if they couldn't defeat the saint demonic creature, they could still rush in. There were still people who wanted to rush in. They were all people at the half-saint level. Lu Ming saw Su Ran. However, these people's combat strength was much weaker. Under the attack of the saint demonic creature, they could only retreat with injuries and escape in a hurry. Some of the first-stage half-saints were even killed by the saint demonic creatures. Buzz! The prison-suppressing steel emerged behind Lu Ming. The demonic creatures retreated when they saw him. Lu Ming passed through the obstacles easily and went inside. In the depths of this land of bones, there was a valley that led all the way in. There were no demonic creatures in this valley. Lu Ming rushed here and put away the prison-suppressing steel. Then, he concealed his aura and walked into the valley. The valley was very long, but there was no danger. Lu Ming moved forward smoothly. Not long after, they reached the end of the valley. In front of them, a huge mountain appeared, blocking their way. There was a cave on the wall at the bottom of the mountain. The light of reincarnation was coming from this cave. A figure was standing in front of the cave. It was Sima Liang. Boom, boom. A deep rumble came from the cave. It seemed like an intense battle was going on inside. Sima Liang looked at Lu Ming as if he had heard some movement. When he saw Lu Ming's cultivation level, his eyes were filled with surprise. He had not expected that a person at the 8th level of the Martial Emperor realm would be able to come here. Boom, boom. The rumbling sounds in the cave became even more intense. Then, a burly figure rushed out of the cave. It was Zhao Kuang. At this moment, Zhao Kuang was in a sorry state. There was blood at the corner of his mouth and his breathing was weak. Damn it. So many puppets. How troublesome. Damn it. Zhao Kuang cursed. Then, he looked around and exclaimed in surprise when he saw Lu Ming. Inside the cave, the sound of explosions continued to ring out. Then, another figure rushed out of the cave. It was Wan Tiancheng. Like Zhao Kuang, he was also injured and in a sorry state. There was a cold glint in his eyes. He swept his gaze across the room and it landed on Lu Ming. "Kid, it's you?" Wan Tiancheng's eyes burst out with a shocking killing intent. "Of course it's me. But is it because the gift I gave you was too valuable that you're especially grateful?" Lu Ming smiled faintly. Especially the word present, he emphasized it. "You're looking for death, kill." Wan Tiancheng's murderous intent was as cold as a knife. He took a step forward and his sword chi soared to the sky, slashing toward Lu Ming. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Lu Ming had actually killed 2 of his subordinates right in front of him. That was just a small matter. Later on, Lu Ming had even lured him to this valley and used the demonic bear's power to deal with him. At the critical moment, Lu Ming had even launched a sneak attack on him and severely injured him. Such a great humiliation made him want to skin Lu Ming alive. Now that he saw Lu Ming, he immediately killed him. A pagoda was suspended above Lu Ming's head. The bubble was hiding inside. Bubble's cultivation base was also improving rapidly. She refined the energy of the time and space spinel every day and had reached the 9th level of the martial royal realm. The space-time domain enveloped Lu Ming. With a sway of his body, he dodged Wan Tiancheng's attack. That's the space-time domain. That pagoda has the power of the space-time domain. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's eyes lit up. You want to leave? That Wan Tiancheng coldly shouted. His body glowed with light spots, and saint weapons appeared one after another. The saint weapons whistled, and the battle weapon chi was everywhere. I know the 10,000 soldiers art too. Lu Ming shouted. His body glowed as well, and holy weapons appeared. Seeing this scene, Wan Tiancheng's pupils suddenly enlarged, revealing a look of disbelief. He roared, the 10,000 soldiers art? How is that possible? How did you manage to successfully cultivate it? Even Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang were dumbfounded. The 10,000 soldiers scroll required the comprehension of the 10,000 soldiers territory to be cultivated successfully. As for the 10,000 soldier realm, it was extremely difficult for ordinary people to comprehend it. However, because of the Wan family's physique, only some geniuses could comprehend the 10,000 soldier realm and cultivate the 10,000 soldier scroll. But how did Lu Ming manage to cultivate the 10,000 soldier scroll? While Wan Tiancheng was in a daze, Lu Ming dashed into the cave with the help of bubbles. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the cave as soon as he rushed in. The first thing he saw was Feng Ling. At this moment, Huang Ling seemed to be on the verge of turning into a phoenix. Her entire body was bathed in the flames of the undying celestial phoenix as she fought fiercely against more than 10 figures. A puppet! Lu Ming's eyes swept across the crowd and realized that although the dozen or so figures fighting with Huang Ling were in human form, they had no signs of life. They were all puppets. The combat strength of these puppets was extremely powerful. They were actually equivalent to the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm. They were existences that were affected by the laws. Lu Ming scanned the cave again and realized that the cave was very wide. In the deepest part of the cave, there were 2 stone pillars. Something was suspended on each of the stone pillars. One of them was a jade talisman while the other was a pitch-black key. The map and key to the tomb of the reincarnation king. This was the first thought that came to Lu Ming's mind. However, around the stone pillars stood several humanoid puppets. At a glance, there were hundreds of them. All of them were equivalent to the 3rd stage of half-saint. Kill! Lu Ming had only taken a few glances when some of the puppets let out cold shouts and charged toward him. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.